the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And welcome, race fans, to the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 8th round of the Karts Computers Racing Series, 2nd season. We returned from kind of an extended break of sorts. We've had 2 weeks off since our last race on, I believe, the 3rd of July, just a few weeks ago, as a combination of both me going away on a personal trip and a few drivers being busy with some real-world racing commitments that unfortunately meant they were unable to make it out to the Sunday race on July 5th, but well, speaking of myself and my personal trip, I am your commentator and series coordinator, as usual, Marshall Crocker Jr. I always forget to put my name up, and actually tonight I can't because I did successfully remove myself from the graphic I'm always in, but as a result, the unfortunate trade-off is I cannot put my name up in the pre-credits. But, well, I very much look forward to getting the second half of the season started. In a way, the kind of mid-season break kind of split our schedule in half, so as a result of that, it means that tonight is kind of the start of said second half of the season. It's actually the start of an Indianapolis doubleheader we're doing this weekend. So tonight's race is, of course, at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, important to mention. And then we go to the Oval on Monday night for our All-Star race. So I know we did one last season. Last season we went to Charlotte in the Xfinity Series to do our All-Star race. But, well, this season I thought, it felt only fair to pick a discipline that really every driver in our series is going to be kind of on an even playing field with. And, well, Indianapolis ovals, or sorry, IndyCar ovals are kind of a discipline that all of our drivers are semi-equal in. So, well, hopefully with that being the case, we'll have a great All-Star race for all of you on Monday night, and I'll give more details about that when it comes up. But for the time being, we need to not look forward to tonight's race, which we will in just a moment. I'll give you all the details about tonight's track. But instead, I do need to head back to your previous round, which was round 7, just a couple weeks ago on July 3rd, at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. And now we will get the chance to cover that in our, as usual, race recap. And as I previously mentioned, for said recap, we were at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for round 7 of our series. On the pole for that race was Mr. Logan Paxa there in the number 1 entry for Logan Motorsports. He qualified with a lovely 158.775, which, well, it was definitely by far the quickest in practice, but, well, in the end, he was actually only barely ahead of the 2 drivers behind him, those being Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach. I forgot this video was so long in the pre-section, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but, well, I guess you kind of get an extended view at our starting grid for that race. As you can see there, both Jean and Manuel Guerra, important to note, the 2 Diabetic Motorsports cars qualified 5th and 6th, and they actually had a great run there. I'll show you the team standings in just a moment, but they are actually up to 3rd in our team standings now, moving up 2 spots from before. I believe they surpassed Lad Pedal Motorsports Green, that being Devin Crosby and Josh Gallagher. This is still up. There we go. Well, we get to the start of our race here, and Logan Paxa took us to the green flag, getting his, I believe, 4th pole of the season. Andrew Bedrosian came in behind him, who had a great day overall, but, well, you'll see that in just a moment. After that, Michael Krobach, Marshall Crocker Sr., and John Guerra ended at the top 5, but very early on in the race, that's Rich Foligno going around in what I believe is corner number 7, just after the long Kemmel straight on the backstretch, getting passed there by a couple of drivers, including John Guerra. On the same lap, it was a very chaotic couple of first laps here, but on the same lap, we saw a car recovering there. I believe that was Jordan West. Then we had both, I believe, Marshall Crocker Sr. and was that, I believe that was maybe Logan Ferguson? But a few drivers going around in corner 1. Now you see here on the Kemmel Straight, most of the main battle on the very first portion of the race was Logan Paxa defending from Bedrosian. He would defend all the way until the very first restart once again. The first restart being as a result of the competition yellows. And you saw there a great restart from Logan Paxa, just took off from the drivers behind him. Now we see Rich Foligno making the pass here on Manuel Guerra. He kind of went back through the field after his early incident. And Andrew was able to make the pass on Logan very early in the stage. But, well, you see here, Logan made up all the ground all the way to him on the Kemmel Straight. And, Well, he was able to make the move into, I believe, corner 5, make the move back on Andrew after actually an earlier spin in the race, which, as a result of some weird tech things, was unable to be in the race recap tonight. But later in the race, as you see, Logan Pax is still defending from Andrew Bedrosian about halfway through. They had a great battle throughout the entire race overall, and well, at the start of our very next stage, the unfortunate incident that put both drivers' hopes of winning this race possibly out of reach. See there, that's well, Logan Paxa and Andrew Bedrosian getting into the combination of Marshall Crocker and Rich Foligno. Now we see Rich Foligno trying to make the pass on, I believe that was Manuel Guerra towards the end of the race. Unfortunately, just dove it in a little bit too far and was unable to make the move there. But late in the race, Mr. Michael Krobach, the guy who was actually gained the lead at the end of the race through field strategy, with Andrew being all tied up as well as Logan Paxton in that earlier incident, the only 3 drivers in the lead lap were the 3 of them. And well, Michael's track position at the very start of this second competition yellow restart meant he was able to take the lead. And well, Andrew tried his very best and caught up about a second a lap in the final 5 laps. But well, in the end, it was Mr. Michael Krobach who would come away with the race victory, his 4th of the season, which does lead the series this year. Him and Logan both having 4 and 3 apiece, respectively. And you see here is post-race victory donuts with Andrew Bedrosian actually joining in the festivities. The 2 Lad Pedal Motorsports affiliate teammates of sorts, both celebrating as they did finish in the top 2. And well, Logan Pax did lead the most laps, and I believe he had the most bonus points of anybody, but he did finish in the 3rd position for the first time in a little while this season. It's kind of out of sorts, really, these days to not see him in that top 2, but well, unfortunately, he just came out of it with, well, I guess what I wouldn't generally consider a disappointment, but it was his lowest finish of the season, I believe, which did, sorry, maybe not his lowest, but very close. He's had an incredible year, so. But with that, the championship point standings did actually close in quite a bit. We're just going to quickly go to your race winners this season, just to give you a heads up on who has won what races and how many. So you see there is your schedule throughout the season. Of course, Michael winning the first race, Logan rattling off the next 3, and then Michael rattling off the 3 after that at both Nürburgring, Michigan, and Spa. And now we head into the Indy Road Course, but as we do so, we do need to check your point standings heading into tonight's race. Leading the points, as he did the last, I think, 3 or 4 races of our season, Mr. Logan Paxa with 195 points personally as of right now. But important to know, Michael Krobach has been closing in more and more every single race in the last couple. And as a result of how well he did in that race at Spa-Francorchamps, of course, making it to the very end and getting great track position and getting the win there, he did close that lead in even further. And despite the fact that he has less poles, he does have 1 more win and now only sits 6 points behind Logan for the championship lead. After that, Andrew Bedrosian is still very much in the championship fight as well. Of course, as you can see there on the right, no poles or wins for him this season, but he's finished in the top 5 every single race. The only driver to do so has only finished outside of the top 3 once, and that was a 4th position to be fair. So he has had a very consistent and very talented and impressive year. After that, Rich Foligno, the only other driver in the 100-point club, sitting back there with 130. Just the same as Andrew, kind of been a very consistent guy this season. No poles or wins, actually. Well, no poles or wins for anybody but Logan. Logan and Michael. They've been the only 2 on the top of that the pole position step there, and well, the only 2 guys to get wins this season as well. We are just in the background now heading into our driver qualifying, so we'll go to the results of that as they go live in a moment. But after that, Marshall Crocker and Devin Crosby round out your top 6. Of course, important to mention that the top 6 are effectively the 6 drivers that would go into the postseason playoff format this season that we just introduced for the individual championship. That means that after round number 12, we will take the top 6 drivers. They will all have their points reset to some number between 1,018 and 1,000 points on the dot. And then those drivers will take their points for the last 3 races of the season, and the points champion will be determined by the driver with the most points at the end of that 3-race stretch. Those 3 races will consist of Laguna Seca in the IndyCar, followed by Daytona in the Cup Series, and rounding out the season, a track and car that would be picked by the winner of Monday night's All-Star race. But you can check out the rest of the point standings yourself. Josh Gallagher fell a few positions all the way from 8th to 11th, but kind of as a result of missing the race, he's actually second fewest of anybody in the top 13 there. Unfortunately, he's just missed a few races out of being busy with other commitments, but Manuel Guerra actually was the beneficiary of some moves, moved up all the way 3 spots up to tie with his teammate John Guerra there. Diabolique Motorsports again, now 3rd in the team standings, as you'll see in a second, but Manuel moves all the way up to 7th, and watching him in practice, he's actually had an incredible prep for tonight's race, so Manuel could be definitely a factor in tonight's race and very much a threat for a podium position or perhaps even more tonight at the Indy Road Course. But I've been teasing it a little bit, so here is the current team standings heading into tonight's race. The top 2, as they have been for, I believe, every race this season, are Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue with 319 points, and Logan Motorsports with about 251 points there, sitting Oh, that's what, 68 points back. After that, Diabolic Motorsports jumps up all the way into the third spot with 172 points. After that, Lead Pedal R&D, which is currently made up of only Andrew Bedrosian, who sits third in the individual point standings, hence why that point total is so high. After that, Lead Pedal Green, made up of Tim Crosby and Josh Gallagher with 164 points. JM Motorsports, made up of Justin Lewick and Max Preston, both of whom are in tonight's race, which is good to see because they missed a few based on either prior engagements or tech issues in the case of Max Preston. And they do have 142 points to their name as of right now. After that, M&M Racing, made up of Marshall Crocker and Marco Fleece. Marco is not racing tonight, but my father most certainly is. And after that, Blackout Racing, made up of only Jordan West, rounding out your championship points. But, well, Jordan's missed a couple of races, so only a 75-point total for Blackout Racing. And with that, we now head into your information for tonight's race. Got to hurry up because qualifying is done in 2 minutes. But, well, here is your track map for the Indianapolis Road Course here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For those of you that actually watched the IndyCar race here at the Indy GP just a few weeks ago, we are not running that exact configuration. iRacing actually does have that configuration with corners, well, 5, 6, and 7 kind of ripped out, and the straightaway from 5 going straight into 7 there. But unfortunately, that is the configuration that runs it backwards for some reason. So it wouldn't make sense to run the backwards version of the real life track. So instead we are running the old F1 configuration here. As you can see as well, the kind of corner 13 there that's blurred out on this image there. We will not be running that entire chicane section. And pin exit will also be in a different location as well. So here is your track for tonight. And now we head into the actual session for your quick race information slide. And then after that, we will head straight into checking out your qualifying results for tonight's race. But as you can see there, track length just over 4 kilometers. So I'd say about just over or just under half or double the size of the oval itself. Track temperature about 52 degrees Celsius. It's very hot. We're running this at the kind of mid time of day, so it'll be a hot track. And well, as you can see there, the rest of the information kind of speaks for itself. But yes, overall clear skies, not a lot of wind, so it really just comes down to horsepower tonight and seeing what these cars got in them and what these drivers got when it comes to reacting to the conditions around them. But as of right now, we will throw up the results in qualifying very quickly. Only 7 drivers able to register a time tonight thus far. I believe we'll have 9 drivers in the field for tonight's race, a number that hopefully we'll have up a little bit higher for our All-Star race on Monday. But, well, there are your current results for qualifying tonight. I doubt these will change because we are just a few moments away from qualifying being over. Actually, it's over in about 20 seconds, so well, these results will become official in just a moment, and then we will be ready to go for tonight's race at the Indy Road Course. Well, as you can see at the moment, Logan Paxton would take away his, I believe, his 5th pole of the season if things were to stand, and I doubt anybody's going to run faster than that this late into practice. So, this late into qualifying, I should say. And we are just about to reset, so qualifying is now over, the session is now checkered, and we can head to your official qualifying results. And there they are. So your results for tonight's race, of course, the 2 names at the bottom there did not manage to run a time. Those are Manuel Guerra and Jean Guerra, the 2 Diabolic Motorsports drivers. They both will start in 8th and 9th respectively. But at the front of the field, as I just mentioned, Logan Paxton will take the pole in tonight's race with a 1:13.977. Very, very, very good time, I would say, considering what we saw in practice. Logan was one of the quickest drivers there, and that's actually a few seconds off his personal best, but on cold tires, there's only so much you can ask. So, well, Logan Paxton will start the race on the pole position. And after him, Andrew Bedrosian, who he was battling with quite often throughout the course of that last race. I'll actually put in a little bit of a better camera to show you the drivers for tonight's race as they roll off the line. There is a entire warm-up pace lap here before we get going green, so drivers will have a chance to warm their tires up. But we'll head on board with Andrew Bedrosian, who actually has a new livery tonight. I know he was running the all yellow and red livery last week, but, well, thanks to a new sponsor, he is now running this black and red entry, so a very pretty car, I must say myself. And he will start the race in 2nd tonight after a great battle and long fight for the win performance last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, at Spa-Francorchamps. After that, Michael Grobach, who has not qualified outside of the top 3 all season, he will start the race on the 3rd position in the number 3 car of the HPC Simulations Blue and Silver entry. He was about a second and a half back, only 0.03 of a second ahead of Max Preston, who actually won't start behind him due to an internet issue, which is a shame to see because he's had struggles internet-wise all season. which means if he's unable to start tonight's race, he will be leapfrogged into the 4th position by his own teammate, Mr. Justin Lewick, who I know he missed a few races a little while back, but the guy who did make a brief stint on commentary with our series a little while ago will be racing tonight, and he will start the race now on the 4th position, running just a little ways back of the 2 drivers ahead of him, actually 3rd to 5th between Krobach, Preston, and Lewick. It was a pretty close battle between that group of guys. Well, it's interesting to see that they did run that close, especially at a track with so much variety in our times in practice. But after that, the McLaren Aero entry there of Justin Lewick, we go back to what I believe would be Rich Foligno, but Rich has also not taken the grid to start tonight's race. Unsure exactly as to why. If they are unable to start, they will need to go to start from the pits for tonight's race, which would be unfortunate to see, as it is much harder to have a very successful race starting from all the way back there. But Marshall Crocker Sr. will start the race in 7th, and Manuel Guerra and John Guerra will round out the field in the 2 Diabolique Motorsports cars in the identical liveries. Well, we now come on to the backstretch of the track, or kind of back up onto the banked oval portion of our track, which means we are getting ready to go green here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The pace car is about to take the hard right onto pit road in just a moment, and your, well, unfortunately, I guess 7-car field for tonight's race will take the green in round number 8 of our series at the Indianapolis Road Course. Hopefully everybody is excited for tonight's race, and the sound's a little bit loud there, but, well, we are getting ready to go green as we speak. Waiting for the pace car to take the hard right. Getting ready to go for tonight's 60-lap festivities. Logan Pax is the control car as he was on pole, and he has now hit the gas pedal, so green flag tonight at the Indianapolis Road Course for round 8 of our series. Looking back here, this camera view a little bit restrictive as to where drivers are on track. Heading into the very difficult corner 1 here, very quick braking point. Andrew Bedrosian coming right on the back end of Logan Pax into the corner entry, but unable to make it stick for the time being. Andrew and Logan making it through all clean, as well as Justin Lewick and Michael Krobach. Justin actually leapfrogging Michael immediately, all the way up to the 3rd position, and not too far behind Andrew Bedrosian at all as of right now. This is actually a pretty good camera angle to show the wide view of the cars on track. Important to note, Rich Foligno has actually made it up to speed and is now starting to make an attack through the field. Max Preston appears to still be out of the race, but, well, Andrew Bedrosian now begins his charge up through the field, trying to catch up to Logan Paxa. For the time being, it looks like, well, we'll throw the track map up just so I can confirm this, but it looks like everybody's made it incident-free through the first half of the very first lap of the race. Important to note, tonight we are going back to the competition yellow format we have used at IndyCar road courses in the past. It basically just means that we don't need to run too many cautions, but at the same time we are able to bunch the field up if need be, if guys fall too far behind and we want some better racing, or if a few guys have incidents, it means they're not completely out of the race, provided that one does occur to them. So, well, that is the plan for tonight's race, and, well, the guy who, after the very first lap, I know I mentioned him a lot, but really the biggest name to mention is Logan Paxa, who has already been up about a second and a half of a gap behind, or ahead to Andrew Bedrosian behind him. Again, about 1.5 seconds, actually dropped back very briefly just a moment ago. But you can see on the track map, everybody making it pretty close to the very first lap of the race, about 11 seconds, which for one lap off a race start actually isn't too big of a gap. Well, looking back a little bit, in the 5th position, Marshall Crocker Sr., who has already moved up 2 spots, starting from 7th all the way up to 5th right now. He's actually 5th in the point standings as well. So, well, a good finish tonight would help kind of seal his gap ahead to hold a position in the playoffs this season. Important to note, a few drivers missing tonight's race include Devin Crosby, Josh Gallagher, Marco Felice, Jordan West, and Logan Ferguson, just to name a couple. Hopefully they'll all be out for the All-Star race on Monday, which I'm really trying to get some good attendance for. That attendance, for those of you who didn't watch last season's, will actually include myself, as I do traditionally. Well, I shouldn't say traditionally, it's happened once, but I will be running in that race and kind of presenting in a live stream format, as opposed to the usual, well, you know, broadcast style like this. But yeah, so sorry, I mentioned a moment ago, we're actually running the competition yellow format in tonight's race. There will be a automatic competition yellow thrown on lap 20 and lap 40, and then we'll have I believe about a 16 or 15 lap dash to the finish after that. But currently, just looking around the track, it appears that well, Andrew Bedrosian is still starting to back off a little bit to Logan Paxa in front, losing about a half-tenth that lap. But again, I mean, just kind of his strategy the same as Spa-Francorchamps. He stayed with him for a few laps while he was in the draft, but I mean, if you think about it long-term, it never hurts to kind of lag back a little bit and make sure you prioritize the long-term race over taking risks in the short-term to gain positions that won't mean too much in the grand scheme of things. Looking back in the field a little bit further, looks like Marshall Crocker Sr.'s gone around very quickly in corner number 3. He's back up to speed pretty quickly, so we'll go to a quick replay there just to see exactly what happened and how he was able to get up to speed so quick. So, well, this is the apex of the curve, or the turn, corner 2 after the exit off the banking. And, That's kind of got on the gas a little bit too hard and sent it around there at the very beginning. But he was able to get back up to speed pretty quick, and he's off the track once again, actually. But he's able to rejoin. Rich Foligno should be able to make the pass here, as he is on far warmer tires. But, well, as is usually the case in these Indy cars, if you go around once, your tires are in such a condition that it's very easy to go around once again. But looking back up in the field a little further to a battle for position, Michael Krobach made the move just a moment ago on Justin Lewick there for what I believe is the third position. So Michael moving up all the way to third. He's heading through the field once again. He's our former race winner in the last round at Spa-Francorchamps. And as those of you that have watched our series for a little while will know that Michael is more of an oval specialist for sure. So the fact that he's able to have such success as he has the last few weeks at road courses has been truly impressive. Of course, on a 3-race win streak up to this point. But, well, a battle for position a little bit further back in the field between Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker Sr. Marshall's going to head to the outside here. They're going to go side by side. We're going to throw it to the chopper cameras to get a better idea of positioning. And, well, Marshall's all the way to the outside, kind of locks up the brakes a little bit. Both drivers getting very early entries into the corner. They're going to go side by side. Marshall's got the inside line, makes the clean pass on Rich. And, well, that was a pretty clean move, I should say. You don't see a lot of passes on the outside in corner one. It's showing up in my telemetry that Justin Lewick has actually had an incident of his own, and he has fallen back quite heavily to Michael Krobach ahead. We'll very quickly head to the replay and see exactly what did just happen to him. Yeah, you see there, he did just go around, but he was right on the back bumper of Michael Krobach before the incident occurred. Coming around into that long sweeping corner, and yeah, looks like he just got on the gas a little bit too hard too early on the braking point, and I've done that myself several times in my practice efforts here, so well, I definitely understand his incident happening right there. So got back up to speed pretty quick. I believe he drops back about 8 or 9 seconds to Michael Krobach in front. Actually, less than 7 to be exact. So got up to speed pretty quick. Did Justin Lewick in the Arrow McLaren number 7 entry. But further back in the field, the battle between Marshall Crocker Sr. and Rich Foligno isn't over. Defending that position for the time being is the number 24 car of Marshall Crocker Sr. But, well, Rich has not hasn't really fallen off as of yet. As you can see there in the telemetry, about half a second back as of right now currently. This is a pretty interesting camera view. Some nice camera views here at the Indianapolis road course, but occasionally they do just pass through a building randomly. So, well, the hope is that we have minimal amounts of that throughout the race. But for the time being, Marshall Crocker will hold the position. And besides that on track, really no important battles to mention for position. Marshall got up to speed real slow there, and Rich is just going to fly by on the inside. Not sure exactly what happened there. It looked like he just kind of got off the gas. I guess he just got loose and felt it was more important to save the car than it was to risk the aggressive gas point after the corner, which understandable. Again, the last thing you want is to get in an incident that puts you a lap down before the competition yellow, because really once you're a lap down here at Indy Road Course, it is very hard to make anywhere near the full lap the full minute and about 15 seconds that it requires to make up a lap here at Indy Road Course. So he'll lose the position for the time being, but again, as the tires warm up more and more, get some speed in there and maybe make a challenge and a push up towards Rich Foligno for, that'd be the 6th position, and then John Guerra heading for 5th. John Guerra, important to note, has actually moved up 4 positions from the start of the race. Remember, he started at the tail of the field as a result of, well, the fact that he wasn't able to run a caution or a qualifying lap, but he is now moving up as he so often does, and well, with Max Preston out of the race, that was one free position, but he still had to make 3 more passes after that, so impressive work by John Guerra all the way up into the 5th position. Looking on the track map there, you can see everybody spread out pretty evenly when it comes to the top 4 drivers. Sorry about Andrew Bedrosian's driver color there as it shows up on the track map. He is actually running the black and red entry, but that has changed since I set up the graphics. So, well, he does have a different color there. Back in the field a little bit, Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to head off track. Looks like the tire damage that he had, or the tire deg that he had earlier, still not quite up to snuff. But Manuel Guerra does something very similar. Just kind of slides off the track there in the exit to, I believe, corner number 4. So it's a tough track here at the Indy Road Course. A lot of drivers having struggles, and well, if we do get a free moment in the action, which it looks like we might, maybe I can kind of walk you guys through a little bit the conditions here. Oh, Justin Lewick has gone around as well. So the chaos continues, truly. Justin Lewick coming through the very slow-paced kind of middle section of the track. You see here, just kind of gets on the gas too early, flicks it left there coming out of what I believe is corner number 12, and well, sends the back end around just before he's about to get back onto the banking. Once again, was able to gather it up pretty quick and get back up to speed, but as a result of that, he's now got John Guerra breathing down his neck there in the number 11 Diabolique Motorsports car, just about a second behind. Actually got about a 4-second gap between our 4th and 6th positions now. So Rich Foligno is right back in the battle for position, and now Justin's going to go around again. Corner 2, just loses the back end entirely, just flicks it in, and and around he goes. Once again is going to have to gather it up and get back up to speed, but now Jean Guerra moving up to the 4th position in tonight's race, and man, John's had a great couple of races as of late. I know he's pretty decent gap back to the guys ahead, but well, Paxa, Bedrosian, and Krobach have kind of been in a league of their own the last few races, so well, John Guerra, I mean, he's putting together better and better performances every week, so is his team in general. I know Manuel Guerra currently sitting in the 8th position, but he did have a spin that sent him around, and I know that well, the first couple of laps of a race are never really indicative of the entire performance of a driver as a whole at a track, so you never know. Manuel could gather it up and make a comeback. I mean, he kind of did something similar at Spa last week, but we're about to see a battle for the 4th position occur as John Guerra has Rich Foligno breathing right down the back of his neck there, about a half second separating the two. We are going to, I guess we can't quickly do our battle box, but we do have to pull the track map down just because of the location I put it up this time. It does unfortunately mean that we have to take it down in order to put the battle box up, but as you see, currently the gap between Guerra and Foligno is sitting at about 7/10. I think Foligno's on the push to pass button because he's making up plenty of room on the straightaway, and I don't think it's all from slipstream. A little bit too far back there for it to all be slipstream, but he's going to peek to the inside now. Thinks better of it and dives back out to the outside, lets Jean Guerra have the position for the moment. But yeah, so Rich Foligno moving up to the 5th spot as a result of Justin Lewick's incident just a moment ago. Justin Lewick now about 10 seconds ahead of Marshall Crocker Sr. for the 6th spot. And after that, Manuel Guerra has moved back about maybe 8 seconds of Marshall for the 8th position. And that does round out tonight's field because, well, this is another one of those weeks where our attendance is kind of slim because so many guys have different commitments to, well, different things in their life. And it's a Friday night. You can almost not really blame people, can you? Speaking of which, though, thank you everybody for watching tonight's race. And Rich is going to make the pass directly around the outside of Jean Guerra right as I take a break off from looking at my screen. So, well, now Rich will move up to the number 4 position. And again, what a great comeback he's had through tonight's race. Remember earlier in the race, he had an incident of his own. Kind of had a wipeout, but at this point, it feels like everybody on track has because, again, the cold tires in these Dallara IR18 cars and with the combination of how difficult the Indy road course is, it's no stretch to imagine that we might have even more incidents throughout the race just as a result of how tricky this track truly is. But speaking of, yeah, for everybody for watching, thank you everyone for coming in and stopping by on this Friday night. I know the last few races have been, well, they've been a little bit different than usual. I know the Nürburgring race was like nothing I've ever hosted before on this series, and hopefully all of you guys enjoyed that. I started doing trivia the last few weeks, but kind of as a result of the fact that really not that crazy of a track, well, it means that I don't actually need to host trivia, but again, right as I look away, Rich Foligno getting in an incident into corner 1, so let's see exactly what happened there. So that's Rich Foligno with Jean Guerra and Justin Lewick in behind him. Well, Foligno just locks up the tires hard coming into corner 1. The back end flicks all the way around. Didn't just check out, but it got sent completely around, got back up to speed, but in the chaos as well, Justin Lewick was able to make the pass on Jean Guerra for 4th, so positions just kind of being hot potatoed around. You can never quite keep track of exactly where people are on track, but at the moment, we'll throw the track map back up and kind of update you on where everybody is. So currently, Justin moves back up to the 4th spot with John Guerra only about 4 seconds behind him. So that position is by no means his, and Justin heads off the outside of the track again. Again, the difficulty of some of the corners on this track, especially with these cold and, in this case, dirty IR18 tires, they can just be absolutely brutal on drivers. And while the top 3 of Paxa, Bedrosian, and Krobach seem to have everything figured out on their end, some of the drivers further back are definitely having to deal with the results of small, inconsequential incidents at the beginning, kind of turning into big things. In reference to, the chat. Sorry, I completely forgot to check the chat. Unfortunately, my laptop that I normally broadcast on isn't able to show it this week. But, well, as we wait for the action on track to pick up, we're going to throw it to your race leader, who I will talk about in just a moment, Mr. Logan Paxa, who is, of course, as he most often does, maintaining his lead position at the start of a race. Looking back a little ways to the drivers behind him, you see John Guerra there in the background. Well, you did for a moment, but John Guerra in the background with Andrew Bedrosian about 5.5 seconds back. The gap between him and Mr. Bedrosian has dropped every lap, or sorry, has stopped gaining every lap, I should say. Let's actually show the official lap time graphic very quickly. Manuel Guerra, I'm seeing, just went off track, but doesn't appear to have put him out completely, so he's back up to speed as well. With Mr. Bedrosian, you talk about the gap back. It's not really opening up too much, especially not the last couple of laps. Only 4 thousandths between the two of them on lap 10, so looks like as Bedrosian gets more and more used to the track, he just gets quicker and quicker. And maybe that will flip this lap and he will actually gain a little bit to Logan, but important to keep an eye out on the timing tower for that. Now Logan, I believe, is making the move on Marshall Crocker Sr. for this number 7 position. Marshall's going to let him go by clean, so Logan will make the pass and will take his second victim and put them a lead down, or a lap down off the lead lap, that being Marshall Crocker Sr. and Manuel Guerra. Just an important reminder, we have 9 laps to go until our first competition yellow of the day, at which point everybody will bunch up and get set for the kind of second stage of tonight's race, second of 3, of course. But going into the chat, let me just check. I'm actually opening up my phone unusually, of course. How's the vacation? I can talk about that in just a moment as well, once we get kind of a free break in the action. It was very nice, but I will elaborate on all of that, as it was a different life experience for me, for those of you that are interested. But besides that, we might not make Sunday. Just an important reminder, Sunday's race is actually being moved to Monday, so no Sunday race, just the Monday All-Star race there, as I will show in the post-credits of tonight's race. Looking back in the field a little bit further, Marshall Crocker Sr. going off track again, not quite sure what corner that's the exit to, I believe, corner number 3, the long sweeper after the chicane. Looks like he got a tire in the grass there, which didn't look like it hurt him too much, but again, you got to remember those tires that if they get too much gravel on them or too much grass, they can definitely have long-term effects that be disastrous in that case. But again, he was able to get back on the track pretty quick, and well, by went, I think that was Andrew Bedrosian there in that black and red entry that passed him. It is indeed. So, well, Andrew, as he continues his push through the field to try to catch Mr. Logan Paxa, who sits at this point about 7 seconds ahead, meaning I think he was about a second and a half quicker that last lap by on lap 11. But quickly back to the chat as we wait. Some support there for Andrew Bedrosian, which is good to see. I know Logan's definitely got a fan base out there, and Michael occasionally as well. But, well, Andrew's fan in the chat does definitely appear to be giving him some support, and he's having a great race so far. I mean, 6 seconds back to Logan Paxa when everybody else is at the closest within 25 seconds. That's quite the impressive work there by Andrew to try to keep up with current series points leader, Mr. Logan Paxa. And Andrew has sounded more and more confident heading into each and every race we've run this season. We kind of go to individual tracks, and he just seems to find more and more pace when he puts in the time. On the inside there, speaking of Andrew Bedrosian, as he passes Rich Foligno there. Rich Foligno there in the cool blue entry, sitting in the 6th position currently, but he was off the pace there for a moment, maybe very intentionally letting Andrew by. Of course, he doesn't lose a lap by doing so, because Andrew is in 2nd, of course not the current leader. But back in the chat, David asked, what is the penalty count for today? The penalty rules have actually changed, it's important to note. So, whereas before we didn't have an official disqualification system for black flags, tonight if a driver accrues 25 penalty points, they will be officially black flagged for the race. And if they do receive 15, which is just 10 laps before, kind of like a middle ground, if they do receive 15, then they will get a time or drive-through penalty. I believe it's 40 seconds at the end of your race if you don't serve it, and then the drive-through, I believe, is just a tad bit shorter. But besides that, sorry, who won trivia last week? I believe David Paxa won trivia. So David, you did win it last week. Unfortunately, no trivia tonight because a little bit too busy, and I didn't actually have it prepared. But it's been a crazy week, and I'll talk about my trip in just a little bit if people are interested. But yeah, it's been a crazy week trying to get back after being away for so long. So, well, we were able to get the series running in order, and I know not everybody was able to make it out. John Guerra somewhere on track goes off track. I believe that's corner number 6. Coming off the exit of 5 here, which is a very high-speed corner up into a very hard braking point. Locks the back end up. Didn't quite make it around in time, and he does unfortunately have to go around. Sorry, not quite go around, actually. He did manage to keep all of his tires under him and made the corner, even if it were a little bit dirtier and more in the grass than he would have hoped. But again, as with every driver who's had an incident tonight, he's back up to speed, and now his chase to stay away from the leader in tonight's race. Logan Paxa continues. Logan sitting about 4 seconds back. We're going to go to the gearbox cam and see if we can see Logan behind him. Kind of a cool camera to go to. I don't quite so often use it, but well, it is kind of cool when we do. So for the time being, he is staying away far enough from Logan Paxa that we can't see him. But well, Jean Guerra again trying to have a good race tonight. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, he's been having a great season as of late. Has a couple of great performances to his name, including I believe a 4th. Was that at Spa or the week before at... no, sorry, he might have had a 4th at Nürburgring, I think. Regardless, he's had a very successful last couple of races, so good to see. Feed quality is really good. I'm glad to hear that, too. Important to note that I actually am broadcasting from a different location as usual. I did switch houses throughout the course of the whole COVID pandemic, meaning I have new tech equipment and just generally kind of a different setup than usual, as well as a new monitor, which isn't mine, but that is not the point. But yeah, everything being considered, I hope it looks a little bit better than usual, and I did kind of switch the setup a little bit, move the track map, so when we go to the All-Star race, all these will still, the graphics will still be up as usual, so the track map will be there, the timing tower, but Well, instead you'll be getting the in-car view from my own view in my attempt to win the All-Star race, which I came 5th in last year. So only way to go from there is up, and I want to make some improvements to that. But speaking of improvements, Logan Paxton will pick off yet another car in this Quest 2 lap, as many cars as he can before the end of the first stage is over. Again, this first stage, or sorry, as I should say, the first competition yellow will be thrown in exactly 5 laps, or actually 4 laps from when Logan crosses the line, which is right now. So as we enter on the lap 16, only 4 laps to go, and well, actually only 3 more laps for the drivers to pit. Of course, the last lap you can pit on our competition yellows, is, as stated in our rules as usual, is the last lap you can pit is 2 laps before the caution is thrown, or I guess technically right before you would cross the line to start the last lap of the stage. So in Logan Pax's case, the last lap he could come into the pits would be what is his lap 18, right before he crosses the line for lap 19, and the same goes for all the drivers in the lead lap. Drivers the lap down are advised to, I would like them to pit the lap that they would correspondingly based on how many laps down they were. So drivers from 5th back to 8th, that being Garrett, Felino, Crocker, and the other Garrett, would all pit on lap 17 at the very latest, in coordination with the other drivers. Just that way we have no drivers in the pits when the caution is thrown. But further back in the field again, another unfortunate incident there for Marshall Crocker Sr. I think he locked up the brakes into corner 1, as a couple of drivers have throughout the course of the race so far. And just kind of locked it up, the back end went around, and well, he did appear to make it back up to speed, I believe, or he's parked at the moment. Well, he's back up to speed again, but as we see our race leader heading to the pits this time, Logan Paxton, important to note, meaning that Andrew Bedrosian will take over the race lead. But in the background, I'm hearing that we're having some technical issues with my father's setup, so by the sounds of it, his brake pedal isn't working, so it's kind of the second tech issue of any driver this race, which is unfortunate. It means that he is now out, meaning we only have 7 drivers in tonight's festivities. But as we mentioned, Logan Paxton heading into the pits this time, the earliest of the drivers to pit in tonight's race, which is kind of unusual in a way. It's usually that Logan waits for all the other drivers to pit, and then he comes down into pit road himself. Off the track somewhere is that either John Guerra or Manuel Guerra. That's John Guerra there in the number 11 Diabolique Motorsports entry. Sitting there in the 5th position, heading around what's, I believe, corner 5 there. Logan is now going to head by into, he's going to get passed into the 3rd position by, who is, I believe, Michael Krobach, who actually does lock up himself in corner number 4, I believe. One of the earlier corners there in the infield. Overall, just a chaotic race we've had so far, with several drivers having little individual incidents with how difficult the track is, and actually surprisingly only 1 pit stop by a lead driver, that being Logan Paxton, who just came in a moment ago, and who is still in the pits as of right now. I would have thought he would be exiting his box a little bit quicker than that. I'm wondering if he has a penalty of some sort. Still in the box. No, he finally comes out, but, well, that was a long stop. Andrew was almost going to lap him throughout the pit cycle. I don't think I've ever seen a pit stop that long from Logan Paxton, so it has to just be a case of maybe a penalty of some sort or something, but while Andrew's trying to catch him, Logan was able to make it out in time, so he will maintain his lap lead for the time being. Of course, Andrew was going to have to pit before the end of the stage, or actually, if he doesn't and he thinks he's confident enough he can make up the lap to Logan Paxton, well, he could lap Logan, put him a lap down, and well, if that were to happen, that would be disastrous for Logan's hopes of winning this thing. And elsewhere on track, Logan Paxton does go around in corner 5 on the cold tires. Here comes Andrew right up behind him. If Andrew can make the pass right now, he would lap Logan, take the lead, make side-by-side contact with Logan. Pax is able to save it and doesn't go around, but Andrew will get the position. The two kind of coming together there on the exit of corner 6, back onto that long middle straightaway on track. Let's just see that incident one more time. Not sure if it was a case of Andrew going for a spot that Logan just didn't think he could take or what, but well, they go side by side here. Andrew carrying a lot of speed and just that little bit of side-by-side contact. And you know, like, Logan's a perceptive guy. He knew that where he was, he needed to keep that spot in order to get his lap and maintain a spot on the lead lap. And Andrew's running like a bullet right now. So if he pits this time, this would be his last opportunity. And if he doesn't, then he's going to have to pit under the caution. But, well, this doesn't look like he's going to this time. So if he can keep this lap for one more lap, Logan would go a lap down for, I believe, the first time this season coming into a yellow. And this is an important spot for Andrew to keep if he wants hopes to get his first race win of the season, because Logan was your pole sitter in tonight's race. There is precedent for him being quick here, and him going a lap down would make his journey to win this whole thing a lot harder. Of course, if he were able to make the pass back up to first and then the caution were to come out, well, he would become the race, he would get back on the lead lap, but he'd still have quite the battle up through the field in front of him. And of course, important to mention, Michael Krobach and Justin Lewick, the other two drivers in the lead lap. And, well, Justin Lewick up ahead a little ways. Looks like he won't make the pass on, or Bedrosian won't make the pass on him in time in order to put him a lap down. But Logan's now going to head to the outside of Bedrosian. They're going to go side by side down the middle straightaway. Again, this is almost like a battle for the lead late in the race because Bedrosian knows that he needs to hold this position from Logan if he wants to keep him a lap down. Pax is able to make the pass. They're going to head through this final middle sector once again. Bedrosian gives up the position. Again, he's still the race leader, but he gets squirrely there, so Logan should be able to make it away scot-free. Logan will make it around this time, and he'll make the final run across the finish line. Actually, he's still eligible to come into the pits this time if you'd like. If he thinks he can, I guess he would still lose his lead lap again, wouldn't he? But, well, we are about to go to our first competition yellow. The second that Andrew Bedrosian does cross the line, he is coming across the start-finish line. So we are heading to our first competition yellow of the race. Well, a very, very dramatic end to the stage there. Again, important to mention just how big the stakes of that could have been if Andrew was able to make the pass on Logan and put him a lap down heading into the competition yellow. In theory, the lucky dog rule, as they often use in NASCAR, is in effect, by which the first driver a lap down from the lead lap would get his or her lap back and would rejoin said lead lap. But for some reason, it And we're back. Apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had a brief actual hardware issue. My LAN cable that runs my wired direct connection to my internet decided to remove itself during the course of that final competition yellow. But, well, that is all fixed. We are ready to continue racing action tonight for the first of our two competition yellows in tonight's race on lap number 20. Well, as the driver paint schemes reset themselves as a result of the session dropping out and coming back, we are going to check in on your current race leader there, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian there in the number 22 car. I remember at the end of that last stage, we had the very intense battle between himself and Logan Paxa. A battle not actually for position as you would normally expect with a battle of that much importance, but Again, remember the prospect of going a lap down in a race such as this one can be absolutely huge. And well, we now see Michael Krobach as well as Justin Lewick exiting pit road. Actually, Justin is going to lose a position to Logan Paxa, who might actually get Michael Krobach in pit exit as well. But well, Michael will make it out in time, which means Logan Paxa will be forced to settle with the third position. Actually, fourth spot. It looks like Justin will be told that he needs to pass Logan and take back that third spot. But the top four will remain on the lead lap, as well as Jean Guerra, who I think we'll get the lucky dog, actually. So apparently the lucky dog is in effect for tonight, and iRacing's streak of inconsistency when it comes to that rule continues. So Jean Garrett will remain on the lead lap and will get his lap back. And after him, it is Mr. Rich Foligno, Manuel Guerra, and Marshall Crocker rounding out your top 8 spots tonight. Remember, of course, Max was unable to start the race tonight, as I hear in our current or our personal race chat, due to internet problems. Unfortunately, again, it's not the first time this season, but hopefully it is indeed the last that he does have to go through said internet problems. But after that, it looks like everybody is starting to catch up to the field. John Guerra heads into the pits this time. If he's able to make it out fast enough, he might actually be able to come in and get the lucky dog, but I didn't think that was how the rule worked. I thought you could do one or the other. You could pass the pace car, but you did then have to avoid coming into the pits. But, well, iRacing likes to mess around with the rules all the time, so maybe I'm just confused. But, well, for the time being, it looks like Andrew will maintain his race lead as of right now. Remember when Logan Paxa came into the pits at the start of that right before that last caution, a few laps before, it did mean that not only did Andrew get that position, but he was almost able to lap him by a full minute and about 15 seconds there. Of course, he wasn't able to execute that quite well enough. Logan was able to get back up to speed in the time he needed and was able to pull away and maintain his position on the lead lap. So, well, if he were able to make that work, Andrew's chances at a win would have gotten way, way, way better. But well, again, hey, just because Logan's a very talented guy doesn't mean that Andrew won't be able to hold in here and get his first race win of the entire series. He's run, I'm trying to think of how many races. I think he's run, well, this is our 8th race of the season, and he ran one last season. So in 9 race attempts, I think he's finished on the podium 7 out of those 9, but again, just never quite managed to come away with that first place position, despite all the times he's come close. So at a track where he sounded very confident pre-race in my talks with him, well, he's come very close, but well, unfortunately just never been able to make it work. So hey, you never know, maybe tonight's the night. Apologies for the background of your talk. Again, living with my dad once again, we can hear his mic in perpetuity with mine at times. So, well, hopefully that kind of gives you a brief insight into my setup here at home, my kind of makeshift broadcast studio here. But we do have the time, and I believe we are going green this time by. As you see, the lights on the pace car are off, which means once everybody groups up again, including Jean Guerra, who's on the track map, as you can see, after coming out of the pits, is pretty far back. He's going to have to hustle if he wants to make it up to the field and manage to catch up for the start of this second green flag start. But my trip to actually Algonquin Park, we went on a canoe trip to Algonquin, which was it was very nice. It was kind of, I mean, in the last broadcast, somebody asked about the specific location, somewhere in kind of the south area of the park. So you head in through the south entrance there, and we did a few lakes, including, most notably, well, the main lake, which I'm entirely forgetting. But those of you that know the Algonquin area, approximately, or Merchant Lake, Happy Lake, and Big Otter Lake are, that kind of area there. So did a couple night backcountry canoe trip, and well, I gotta say, I would have struggles running in tonight's race because I am physically absolutely drained as a result. But well, it's kind of nice to get back to the series and back to the world of producing races like this, because it's a much more calm and well, definitely less physically intensive option, but sometimes mentally stressful. Stressful tonight can certainly be attained to a few guys, as well. It's been a very difficult track overall, so the fact that as many guys as there are still in the race and nobody's actually dropped out as of yet is very impressive. And right as we're about to go back to a restart here, you see Michael swerving a little bit in the second spot. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Rich Foligno, I believe, will split up the first and second spots in tonight's race between Andrew and Michael. And then a little ways back to the third position is Justin Lewick and Logan Paxa, who I believe will start right next to each other. But as we get ready to go for your second green start of the night, we'll be taking the green flag momentarily. The pace car takes the hard right onto pit road. Andrew Bedrosian is the control car, and he is off. And green, green, green for the second time tonight in round 8 at the of the Karts Computer iRacing Series at lovely Indianapolis road course. Right in the background, Justin Lewick almost immediately making the pass on Michael Krobach to the inside. Sends it up almost immediately, and he is now moving up to the second spot. Not to discount, though, Logan Paxa, who I know they are lap cars, but he's already made up 3 spots in that restart, moving past Rich Foligno and Jean Guerra and Marshall Crocker. all the way up to that 4 spot. Now he's battling with Michael Krobach. Going to throw it to the inside here up into corner 4. Michael is going to defend, but now they're going to go side by side through 5. Up into the entry to corner 6. Michael's got the inside, so he should be able to hold the spot. Almost going side by side. Logan had to go way to the outside in order to not make contact there with Michael, but he's going to get the about a half a car length he needs to pull in front of Michael. And coming into corner number 7 there, out of that long kind of middle stretch in the middle of the infield, he will hold that position. Now moves all the way back up to 3rd. So remember a moment ago, there's a question mark whether he'd be able to stay on the lead lap. Now it's the question if he's going to almost immediately move back up to the 1st position after all the chaos from a little bit earlier. Wow, this has just been the kind of the dream start that you would have wanted if you're a Logan Paxa fan. Now he's battling with Justin Lewick for the 2nd spot. Andrew Bedrosian's going to come into the pits this time. So now this battle becomes for the lead. Interesting pit choice there from Andrew Bedrosian, but side by side is going to go Lewick and Paxa. Paxa on my timing screen looks like he's got the advantage here. Sorry about that. That was a very light camera angle. Where's my camera I'm looking for? Oh, there we go. Well, coming out through corner 2, right in the middle of this battle. Logan has made the pass on Lewick for 1st, so he officially makes that pass and will take the spot for his own. Right behind Lewick is Michael Krobach. So the battle for these top 3 are what was previously the 2nd to 4th position before Andrew pitted. The battle for these positions has become fierce, and Logan has immediately made his way all the way back up to the lead after, again, just a moment ago, it seems like he may not even be in the top. Oh my man, even the top 5 going to drop out into the bottom lap, or the lap after the lead lap. So Andrew has now exited the pits, which kind of confirms my suspicion that Logan, whether it be a penalty or something, just had a very long pit stop immediately before. Not sure if maybe he came in too quick or what, but yeah, Andrew was able to come out of the pits way quicker than Logan was a moment ago. So no, it depends if Logan will need to pit on this current stage or not, or well, if he will just kind of have smooth sailing in order to win this current stage. Again, we don't do stage points, but always nice confidence boost in order to be leading coming into the final stage of the race in our final 15-lap dash to the finish, the actual points of the race. But in the 2nd position after all that chaos fans out, Mr. Michael Krobach sitting there in the 2nd spot in the HPP Simulations car. Again, important to note, he has won the last 3 races in our series, including 2 road courses, which, well, before wasn't really his brand. He was definitely more of an oval guy for sure, but, well, it appears that in the last couple of races he has found a new speed that he didn't previously maintain on road courses, and all that practice is paying off as he's now sitting in the 2nd position as of right now. And remember, he kind of ran a very similar race to this last week at, I keep saying last week, 2 weeks ago at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Back then, he was kind of going for a strategy of just stay on the lead lap for those first 2 stints, and then by the time he made it to the final one, perfect track position thanks to pit strategy was able to give him the means he needed to get the win. Tonight, of course, he's a lot more involved in the lead battle than he was. I know Logan Paxa is making his way away by about a 2nd or 2 every lap, but again, he's still staying competitive, and well, Michael's not too far back that I don't think he can make a move in the next couple of laps if he were able to find that pace, but unfortunately, based on the momentum that Logan has right now, I would say that will probably be an attempt that will need to wait until the final stage of our race. It's actually been a pretty quick race so far. Of course, we are but coming up to about 55 minutes into the broadcast and almost halfway through the race, so I mean, I was thinking with the possibility of cautions that the race would go a little bit longer than it has, but well, sometimes these Friday night races can be kind of nice. They're a little bit shorter and more bite-sized, which can be nice, especially for the drivers. With a track as difficult as Indianapolis road course, the last thing I want after possibly a very stressful work week is a very stressful race as well. At least one that is too overly stressful, but well, Justin Lewick a little bit back in the field in the 3rd position, who I feel bad I haven't talked about much, but well, you remember earlier in the race he had a spin or 2 on his own. But through that, he was able to make up a few spots with other guys having very similar incidents throughout the course of the 1st stint. And then after that caution came out, he was kind of a bat out of hell, making up a few positions there in the start, including almost an immediate pass on Michael Krobach into corner 1. Of course, as you can see there in the timing tower, Michael did make that pass back and did take his 2nd place spot back as he had earlier. But well, Justin is still running to Jean Guerra, and well, 26 seconds to Andrew Bedrosian, which is we have lost internet once again. Oh, very similar issues. Okay, managed to save it there, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I did have the exact same issue, just a hardware problem where my LAN cable decided to hop out of my PC, but we are once again back up to speed, and right as I was about to talk about Andrew Bedrosian, it decided to log off, so let us check on Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. Again, your lead battle since we briefly dropped off. Well, it'll take a moment to show up exactly where guys sit on track. The timing tower does reset whenever the internet drops out. But, well, we are now back up to speed and now on board with Andrew Bedrosian, who sits about 37 seconds back of Logan Paxton for the lead. But important to mention, he did just come into the pits that last time by, whereas Logan has not pitted since I think Logan came in around lap 16. So when it comes to pit strategy, two guys running very different strategies, and I think everybody else in the field just pitted on that last competition caution, which, I mean, I would think is probably the most base strategy of all, but, you know, maybe some guys think it's better to go for one strategy over another in terms of track position, or, well, the possibility of Andrew's strategy that if Logan had fallen back a little bit, may have actually let him make the pass for the lead, and make the pass to put him down a lap in reference to Logan Paxton, which, well, especially in the way that this is shaken out now, probably would have played in even more of an effect with Logan moving up all the way to the lead after just a couple of laps in the second stage. But, well, Andrew was not really falling back to Logan. Again, keep an eye on the timing tower. That 37.5 second gap is not getting smaller. What I think is getting smaller is the gap between Andrew Bedrosian and John Guerra. Not the Diabolique Motorsports car you just saw on screen, but the other one just a little ways ahead. The other Diabolique Motorsports car of Manuel Guerra, sitting in 6th right now, out of actually a grand total of 7 drivers now, as Rich Foligno has dropped out of the race as well. I doubt it was based on the penalty point system, so I'm wondering if it's unfortunately just another internet issue. Again, maybe the fact that the series was coming back after a break meant a lot of guys just had some internet stuff that wasn't worked out before they came in tonight. So hopefully, again, I'll try to have as polished of a race as I can for the All-Star race on Monday, which, again, I'm really pushing to make a particularly special and enjoyable broadcast, because I remember how much fun I had and the fans, the fans being those of you watching, seem to have with last year's All-Star race. So I will try my very best to mimic that when I set up the race on Monday. But for the time being, Andrew is again going to continue to make that push through the field up towards John Guerra, already about 5 seconds ahead of him, already dropped to about 5 seconds ahead of him now has Mr. John Guerra. There ahead of him, that's Marshall Crocker Sr., who's going to head to the outside lane there and give the free position to Andrew Bedrosian there. So, well, I said free position. He is currently a lap down. So, well, the lap traffic here, as it usually is in our series, is being very polite about letting guys out of the way. And, well, Andrew needs all the help he can get, as he's trying to make a very aggressive push through the field to get John Guerra. But, well, he does that time by. John has huge front wing damage there, coming through the kind of the middle infield section right into the slow-paced couple of sweeping corners, which kind of where did he get the damage from is what I'm wondering. He had a large portion of that last lap and was trying to coast it back. I was wondering on the timing tower why he was losing as much time as he was. He had a long portion of that, right? Somebody in the background went around as well, but, well, John went around the entire lap with that damage. He's still running with it, so I guess he just doesn't want to come in to fix it. I'm wondering if he doesn't have another quick repair left, and hence even if he wanted to, he couldn't come in to fix that damage, which, I mean, kind of suits Andrew Bedrosian, because he'll get a free 4th position out of it, and now moves all the way up to that 4th spot, now only 40 seconds back of Logan, but, well, that is by no means the way he would have wanted to do it, I'd imagine. Unfortunate news for John Guerra, and he's still on track somehow with that nose damage, which kind of reinforces my belief that he must be out of quick repairs, otherwise he definitely would have come down pit road and fixed it by now. As, of course, for those of you wondering, as usual, the normal rule in regards to quick repairs is in effect, as each driver does get 2 in the race. But, yeah, John does definitely have large car damage, and his Diabolique Motorsports teammate of Manuel Guerra going to come up on his outside. Hopefully the last thing we want is an incident to occur right now. But all the way back up to Andrew Bedrosian as he continues his push towards Logan Paxton. Still at about 40 seconds there, so not gaining too much time with only about 9 laps to go until the second competition yellow. But back up to the front, I want to do a quick spotlight quickly on Michael Krobach, who, well, as it currently sits, appears to only be 8 seconds back of Logan Paxton, which, again, 8 seconds isn't, signifying that a battle could happen any second. But when it comes to just how quick Logan's been all race, the fact that Michael's been able to hold this gap to where he has is mighty impressive, since, well, Logan was running some truly insane practice times, and, well, as quick as Michael's been, he just hasn't quite been able to replicate that speed. But, well, Michael always seems to find this new level of speed in the race, and when it comes to execution, he's one of the better racing guys I've ever met. So, well, he's having a good race tonight, and again, he's dropping back on the timing tower as we speak to Logan, but, well, as they come back onto the straightaway, it could just be a case of push to passes, which, reminder, each driver has. For those of you that may not know, I know we've got some, by the looks of it, probably some series regulars, but if you're wondering, push to pass does mean that you do have a little button that gives you a temporary burst of speed, kind of like KERS that they used to use in F1. I don't believe they do anymore. But it just kind of gives you a quick burst of speed to allow you to make a pass on somebody, and, well, in the case of IndyCar, they don't actually depend it on where other cars are around you on track. So it's kind of like a free speed boost button. You can use it any time. And again, that's always a possibility that could be affecting the track placement of drivers, especially as it refers to the long bank sections, which are really the only place you'd ever need to use them. No real reason to use push to pass in high speed, or sorry, even low speed or high speed corners, really. But back a little ways in the field is Mr. Justin Lewick, who I believe sits, yeah, somewhere in the middle of the early infield, dropped back about 12 seconds to Michael Krobach and about 20 to Logan Paxas. So it doesn't appear to have damage. It just looks like Logan kind of has this dual traditional pace that, compared to other guys, a lot of guys just aren't able to keep up with. And I mean, Logan definitely one of the guys that comes out to the most practices. He puts in the most time here, and just kind of the most naturally quick guy out there, at least as it refers to, or as it pertains to road courses. So it looks like Michael's still kind of in the conversation, but Michael is on a 2 road course winning streak. So, well, you got to think if you're looking back, so you do want that streak to come to an end tonight. And well, as he continues to make these corners with picture perfect perfection when it comes to the timing tower, it looks like Logan's chances of keeping that streak alive are, well, it's kind of slimmed and on the way he's driving. Important to note when it comes to his car livery, Logan Ferguson isn't here tonight, so they have not coordinated the matching Spitfire liveries that they so often run, but he's now in that kind of white camo Rebellion Racing entry, which works out well because Andrew Bergerson's new livery does in a lot of ways match Logan's from a couple of weeks ago. Andrew, of course, as you see, coming around the end of the 2 final bank turns, which I guess are traditionally corners 1 and 2 on the actual oval. Of course, a reminder, we will be running the actual oval for the All-Star race on Monday. I know I've plugged the All-Star race many times now, but again, I'm really thinking it's going to be a good time, and we might have some former series drivers stopping back in again for an appearance. I can't confirm anybody yet because nobody has had an official RSVP to the race yet, but well, the hope is that we'll have some guys from last season that you may recognize, a few familiar names there, and maybe even some more guys that have thought about joining the series in the past and haven't been able to make it out, or well, some guys that have only run 1 or 2 throughout the course of history. So, well, really, I'm looking for any guy that's running the series to be able to make it out. I'm looking for as good of a showing as possible, because when it comes to races at Indianapolis in the IR18 car, well, the number one thing you want is just as many guys as you can have as possible, because drafting races are always more fun with a crowd. But referring to the race itself, we may go to a break in just a moment, but our competition yellow is coming up in only 6 laps time, so I would feel a little bit bad doing one right now, but I think we're going to go to a brief side-by-side, and when we come back, maybe we'll get a brief on-board stint with your race leader, Mr. Logan Paxa, and then I will be back in just a moment.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, hopefully you all enjoyed that quick segment there, the little brief view of exactly what Logan Pax is going through there as he drives through the inner segment of the race, that kind of exit back onto the banking there, and the very tricky kind of inner segment of the racetrack. You see all the hand movements he was doing and all the shifting that must be done in the infield of the track. We're on board with Justin Lewick because he did just come into the pits a moment ago. The first driver, I believe, on the lead lap to do so in this stage, besides, of course, Andrew Bedrosian, who just went through a similar fate himself a few laps ago. And the question does need to be asked at this point, kind of what is the pit strategy towards the end of this race? Because pitting on lap 35, you got to think he pitted on the last pit stop, the last competition yellow there. So he pitted on lap 21, you would assume, because that's when the pit window opens. Went about 14 more laps and then pitted on lap 35. So you got to think he's good until at least lap 50, but that would still split the final stage in half for him. So the question is, which I think I can answer myself, can you make it from one stage to another, that 20 lap period, or I guess 18 when you take into account the laps you serve under the caution? Can you make it all that ways on a tank of fuel, or just putting tires to the side? And I mean, Andrew proved in that very first segment that you could, as well as Michael Krobach. Both drivers for iPod Motorsports were able to make it through the entire first segment. So if you pit on the end of that next competition yellow, there's no reason that you can't make it all the way to the end of the race on fuel. So you got to wonder if maybe it's a tire plan for Justin and he's just going a little bit off strategy, or well, I'm really not sure what. But as it refers to strategy, you see there Logan Paxa taking it across the line there in the number 1 entry for Logan Motorsports there. To start the beginning of lap 37, meaning he's only got 3 more laps to go until the second competition yellow and final one of the race is thrown. Important again to mention that as a result of the competition yellow, it is necessary that he does come in on lap 38 at the latest, so he's got 2 more chances to come into pit road if he so pleases. And the question is, well, if he does come into pit road, would he be okay with giving up the track position to this car, the number 22 of Andrew Bedrosian? Looking elsewhere on track as well, Michael Krobach as well has yet to come into the pits this time. We're actually going to throw up the pit strategy graphic very quickly, as it is usually pretty informative about exactly what lap guys did come into the pits. So Logan has been out on track since lap 16. He's now done a 20-lap stint, which, as I just mentioned, can be done. Both Andrew and Michael did it to start tonight's race. Actually, Andrew went all the way to lap 24 before, as you remember, he did pit under green. But elsewhere on track, Justin Lewick and John Guerra both pitted on lap 21. Manuel Guerra pitted on lap 20 flat. And Marshall Crocker has pitted 3 times on laps 15, 27, and that is the end of that sentence. So, yeah, as you can see, Michael and Logan pitting on very similar laps. Of course, Logan's going to have to come in much sooner. And I guess as he comes across the line this time, his last chance will be this lap. So we're going to head on with Logan Pax to see if he does take the opportunity to pit right before the competition yellow. As again, the final lap you can pit is here on lap 38 before he crosses the line to start what is technically like the white flag when it comes to the current stage. So he's coming through the end of the infield there under that middle straightaway. Jean Guerra will come into the pits this time in the number 11 Diabolic Motorsports entry. Have to check the timing tower, so he won't give up the position to Manuel Guerra as a result. So he will maintain his 5th place spot, which I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm not sure how many top 5s that would give him on the air if he were able, but remember that front wing damage he said the entire segment of the race. I'm not sure if he knows, but if he knows, and sorry about the unintentional pun there, but yeah, it looks like he's fixed it now, so we had a quick repair available. I guess it was just by choice, or maybe he just didn't know, but we're just going to quickly head up to Logan Pax, the race leader, to see if he pits. He decides not to, so, well, Logan, that was his last chance to come into the pits. Otherwise, he does face a 40-second time penalty, but, well, Logan's a pretty perceptive guy. I have the feeling he does know that, so, well, he's decided not to pit on this current segment of the race. Let's see if Michael makes the same decision. No, Michael is going to come into the pits this time and make the pit stop on lap 38 of the race. So this is his final chance to do so, and the question is, with 24 laps to go till the end, or sorry, 21 laps to go till the end of the race, can he make it to the end on fuel? And based on what we saw there on that last graphic, with 24 laps from Andrew Bedrosian on the first stint, with some of them under caution, there's no reason to assume that Michael wouldn't be able to make it to the end himself if he were to run a very similar race that Andrew Bedrosian did in that period of the race. So, well, it's something to keep in mind, and it'll be interesting to see if indeed Michael is able to make it to the end. The question is, strategy-wise, what advantage would that hold? Because, well, as we come into the second and final competition yellow, once Logan crosses the line this time, it would be Logan and Andrew in the top 2 positions, and then Michael coming out in 3rd, so presumably both Logan and Andrew would pit. But at that point, I mean, he would have the lead position, but I guess his tires would only be about a lap older, so interesting strategy choice. It looks like Michael will probably be the leader after the second competition yellow, just as he was last week at Spa, but, well, he comes onto the final straightaway, does Mr. Logan Paxa, which means we are throwing our second competition yellow of the race.
The yellow flag is out.
And just like that, the competition yellow has now been thrown. So we are under our second and final caution period of the night. Somebody just hit a cone in the background. Not exactly sure who that was, but what I do know is that Logan Paxa will be your race leader when we do go green the next time by. Looking elsewhere in the field, looks like Andrew Bedrosian didn't pit at the end of that last stint. At least not that I'm aware. Let me just check the pit strategy here to see who did pit on that last stint of the race and who will need to as we come into this final competition yellow. So Michael Krobach did just pit a lap ago. I'm sure that will update in just a moment. So Michael just pitted on that last stretch, which again, as you can see there on the yellow portion of the pit strategy graphic, Andrew did go 24 laps earlier in the race. So Michael should be able to go the final 20 laps he would need on his new set of tires and fuel to make it to the end. But the question is, do Logan and Andrew come into the pits at this time on this current stint of the race and pit under the free opportunity to do so for the competition yellow? And you'd think strategy-wise they would have to. I don't see the strategic advantage of not doing so. Again, like pitting under green once the race goes back, there's just not really much point. So you'd imagine if Michael were able to make up the time under the yellow on track quickly enough that he would get back up to the lead pack before everybody pitted, meaning he'd come out ahead when it came time to go green on the race, which again, I'm kind of getting deja vu to 2 weeks ago at Spa-Francorchamps. That's exactly the same situation we had there. I mean, you remember at the very start of that final stage, it was Michael coming out ahead after a race in which, I mean, no offense to him at all, but he just didn't quite have the pace of the two guys in front of him, those being Logan Paxa and Andrew Bedrosian, who kind of in a similar situation in tonight's race, whenever they run on their own, seem to be just a little bit faster in terms of pure race pace. So, Andrew and Michael being in that same spot now are going to probably start right behind Michael Krobach because tonight's setting that I did make sure to clarify on and make sure it was set is that the lead lap drivers do take precedent over the lap cars when it comes to setting up the line. So if all is right, and my assumption is correct that both Andrew and Logan do pit this time, then it would be Michael in first, Logan likely, depending on his pit stop time, would be in second, and Andrew would be third in line with the lap cars separating them. So we could just get a nice pure battle to the finish for the last, I would assume 16 or 17 laps of the race based on when the caution should end. So Andrew will come through the field, hopefully. You see there he's the number 2 car on track, that kind of orangey gold color, because I have yet to update his color. For some reason the color actually isn't showing up on the timing tower. If I have a second to fix it, I will try to. I'm not exactly sure why it changes. Yeah, I've never had that before. It just is, I guess, forgetting that everybody has an individual color I set for them, so thank you, iRacing, for that. The track map colors are mostly accurate. I did just forget to update Andrew Bedrosian. So, well, let's watch our pit road entries here. We have Logan Paxa heading in, Marshall Crocker Sr. heading in, one of the Diabolique Motorsports cars, I believe that's John Guerra heading in, and Andrew Bedrosian will enter the pits this time by. So the car of, I believe, that's Manuel Guerra who's staying out. John Guerra will make the pass by, and I believe he's going to get a free lap back, which may actually put him back on the lead lap. So good long-term strategy there by John Guerra. Should keep him on the lead lap for the end of the next stage. But again, we will throw up the quick driver names and let you know who is coming into the pits this time. So Logan Paxa, former race leader at the end of the second stage, will come in, as well as Andrew Bedrosian there in the third position, the 2 drivers in the lead lap. After that, Manuel Guerra at the back of the line coming in, only a few laps down there in the 6th spot. And Marshall Crocker Sr. as well in the number 24 car will make his way down pit road this time. You would presume for each of these drivers for the last time of the race. But as you see all the drivers entering their pit boxes in the background, Michael Krobach will become your new race leader as a result of, again, very clever pit strategy there at the end of the last stint. Decided to come in with a few laps to go, and that did mean that as long as he was able to stay on the lead lap, he would gain a position once the guys ahead of him did need to come in on this competition yellow. So he played that perfectly, and I'm kind of surprised Logan didn't do the same as him, but again, Logan does just seem to have the on-track pace to make whatever passes he needs to, so the fact that he'll start second line on this next restart I think is plenty far enough up the field that, well, if he's able to have a pretty clean restart, means that he shouldn't have too much trouble in getting back in the fight for the lead. I think in terms of track position as well, I know I mentioned that the lap cars will have to give up positions, but it does look like Logan is going to join right in line behind Michael for the second spot, so hopefully Andrew does the same, which it appears he has. So it looks like we're about to have a great battle for the final 3 spots in our race, ladies and gentlemen, with only, if my prediction is right, 14 to go. Sorry, 16 to go. My lack of counting skills, maybe it's because I need school to start in September. But yeah, looking through the chat once again, it looks like a pretty quiet Pretty quiet night in the chat. David making some very good points. You know, pit strategy being as interesting as it has been tonight. You kind of called that one there, David, because yeah, it's as it did at Spa, kind of playing in very subtly to the way in which the cars line up for the final stage. And you got to think, even if you're Michael, I know your tires are like what, 1 lap older, but I mean, really, the advantage of them being more warmed up, provided the 2 guys behind you aren't able to warm them up in time, I think that outweighs the benefit of. Sorry, I think the track. What am I trying to say? I think the track position outweighs the benefit of an annoying tendency to fall out. Again, maybe a little bit rusty since this is the first broadcast in a couple weeks, but I promise as I get back in the swing of things, as we have more and more races the next couple of weeks, that I will be up to speed and will be more sure of what I'm doing when it comes to making sure all this stuff is set up properly in the new setup. Until the end of the season, I will be in this current setup, so if indeed the way I've set up my internet and the broadcast for tonight does mean that the feed looks better, as I think it does, then we would be in for a good rest of the season, I think, from a broadcast perspective. You see the lights on the pace car have turned off, so we will go back green this time by. We will now do a quick through the field just to make sure you know who is where and where your driver will be on the next restart, in the final restart of the race. But your current race leader there, Mr. Michael Krobach in the number 3 HBP Simulations blue car, sitting in the very first position. After that, Logan Paxa there in the Rebellion Racing number 1 entry, the kind of white car with the red stripe there, kind of a cool white camo color. We'll start on the second position there. Again, remember, Michael did just make the pass on Logan, thanks to pit strategy, as Michael pitted the final lap he was eligible to at the end of stage 2, meaning that he does come out as your race leader for stage 3. But after that, Andrew Bedrosian, the guy with the fire in his tummy, the guy with definitely the most to prove here in tonight's race in that 22 car, who I'm trying to remember his sponsor name. I feel bad he keeps sending it to me, but hopefully I'll remember before the All-Star race. But yeah, the number 22 car there with the new paint livery, sitting in the 3rd spot. And again, that podium streak he's had all season. I think he's finished on podium every race but one, where I believe he finished 4th. So the consistency of Mr. Bedrosian has been palpable through. I think that's the proper use there, but has been palpable throughout the season. So, well, we will see how these top 3, who I just showed, how they will end off tonight's race, and we'll see how those points factor into the championship standings. Remember, 29 points separating our top 3 drivers tonight as we get ready to go green here for the final time at Indianapolis Road Course in tonight's race. I'm excited for a battle. I hope you guys are at home, and well, we are getting ready to go green here. Will Michael be able to defend the spots from the 2 guys behind him? Will Logan be able to get his 4th win of the season and tie Michael for most in Season 2? Or will Andrew come away with his first win of the season and maybe even put his name in the hat for maybe 2nd in the points lead, or maybe even the pole, depending on, or the first position, depending on how this end of the race goes. Getting ready to go, Justin Lillick again. Don't forget about him in the Arrow McLaren car, a little ways back and forth. But Michael is on the gas pedal. Green flag for the 3rd and final time tonight at the Indianapolis Road Course in round 8 of the 2020 Karts and Computers Racing Series season. And we head into the first corner. Michael with a pretty sizable gap there off the restart to Logan Paxa, but we're going to head to a quick crank it up. We're going to let the sounds of the race speak for themselves, and we'll be back in just a moment. And I'll have to rejoin the action because we did just have a change for the lead. Logan making the pass there on Michael Krobach through corner 8 there. That kind of middle straightaway through the center of the drive, or the, what's the term I'm looking for? The infield there. But now he's having a pass made on him by Andrew Bedrosian on the outside there. Bedrosian's going to go all the way comfortably around onto the banking. Michael just starting to bleed spots here at the start of this restart. Now he's got Justin Lillick behind him in that orange and black arrow entry, starting to make a push up towards the pass for the 3rd spot. But well, as I mentioned earlier in the race, Logan and Andrew seem like the top 2 guys in terms of pace, and well, Logan's got a comfortable 1-second buffer to start off this final stage with only 15 laps to go in the race. But again, as I talked about a few times in this race, Andrew's a hungry guy, and you know, he definitely wants this win if he can get it, and again, come away with his 1st in series history. He's come so close so many times, and well, I think at a track he seems very prepared for and sounded very confident about. You know, 9/10 should be possible to make up, certainly with 15 laps left in the race. But right back behind him, I know Michael just gave up the spot to both Logan and Andrew a second ago, but he has not dropped back an inch. I think he's only about 2 seconds back of Logan, even less than that, with but a lap apart from when he did get passed into this corner here, number 8, coming out of that middle part of the infield there. We're going to throw the track map up very quickly. But elsewhere in the field, Justin Lewick, the final driver on the lead lap there in the number 7 car. He is there in the 4th spot, and he does appear to be dropping back a little bit to the guys in front. I think he's got front wing damage there. You can see on the front left pod, it's all popped out, and janky's sitting there on the front left of the car. We'll see if he comes into the pits this time, but well, even still, if he's not being able to make up spots, if he's able to keep that lap and finish the race in a very respectable 4th spot, well, I'm sure he would not complain with that position one bit, especially not with how fast the top 3 guys have been. But, well, looking at our top 3 once again, everybody's starting to spread out. Logan has extended his gap ahead of Andrew to about 1.2 seconds, so getting just under half a second away that lap. And, well, is, again, kind of to be expected with how much speed he showed before the race and in qualifying. But, again, you can never count on Andrew Bedrosian in situations like this. I mean, he almost won last week's race against Michael, but just narrowly missed out on the possibility to do so. And at Ovals, he's come very close as well. You remember a few weeks ago at Michigan, he had a very impressive showing at that race as well. So it feels like the closer he comes, the more agonizing the ways in which he has to settle for a podium happen. But, well, tonight he's got a teammate behind him in Michael Krobach, and, well, he's got Logan Pax ahead of him. So if you're Andrew, this is kind of the situation you probably would have imagined you'd see yourself in, especially based on how guys were running in practice. But Andrew, as you see him coming through this kind of later section of the infield with a lot of slow-paced turns, we're going to quickly go on board with him once again. But hopefully that's not too loud for you out there, ladies and gentlemen. But, well, as you see, Andrew is coming through the final corners of the track back onto the final banking. You see how far ahead Logan Pax is in the distance. Kind of the perfect view to see him as he comes through high-speed corners like this. I know the aero screens can be very restrictive in terms of driver's vision, but, well, he can see him up in the distance there, and like a shark chasing its prey, you know Andrew's going to go after him for all he can. Got to wonder, though, of course, Logan's a very consistent guy in his corner entries and very rarely makes mistakes. But, you know, Andrew, you got to make sure that even if he's staying aggressive in an attempt to make up that time to Logan for the lead, you got to make sure that you don't make any moves that are too aggressive that could possibly send him around and put him out of the conversation for not only the lead, but maybe even the top 3 as well. Because remember, if any of these top guys make a mistake, Justin Lewick can jump down from the catbird seat and make his way into that 3rd spot and get himself an interview tonight. So, again, you got to wonder, the possibility is there that a mistake could be more catastrophic than just losing the position you're trying to chase for. It's something to think about, but Andrew's seems to be a very well thought out guy mentally when it comes to racing strategy, so you got to think he'll play it safe if he needs to. But again, as I talk about several times in this race, you know he's just going for position and he wants to win this thing as bad as anybody. See there, a very nice line there through the exit of the final part of the infield there, back onto the banking. Going to go to the wide shot again as he heads back up onto the banking, and you see the gap ahead to Mr. Logan Paxa. But behind him is Mr. Michael Krobach there in the number 3 HPP Simulations car. Just barely out of the slipstream, I think, as he comes back onto the front stretch. If it were me, not a bad time to use the push to pass. As, again, the number one thing he probably wants right now is the opportunity to be in the slipstream there on Andrew Bedrosian, because the more time he's able to make up to Andrew, the quicker he might be able to make that pass. And again, I'm impressed with Michael's work tonight, because remember, he was falling back about a second a lap earlier to Logan Paxton in the first stint. But since then, he has only dropped back about like maybe 2 or 3 tenths each lap since our second competition yellow. So, well, Michael has seemed to find this new pace throughout the course of the race, and maybe he's just slowly figuring stuff out and getting more and more confident with his braking points and making them later and later. Now to the point where he was almost gaining time there through that individual section on both Logan and Bedrosian, but it looks like that will not be the case, as he does drop back a little ways from Mr. Andrew that time by. But, well, again, he's still only about a second back, so the possibility that he was able to make that time up to Andrew still isn't out of the realm of possibility yet. But I do just want to quickly look through at the field as well. I feel bad in focusing on the leaders all the time, as right as I go to him, John Guerra kind of loses the back end there in corner number 5, right in front of his Diabolic Motorsports teammate as well. Mr. Manuel Guerra is just about to head through the same corner as well, that long sweeping left-hander up onto the right-hand corner 6 as you get onto that kind of midfield straightaway. So the 2 Diabolic Motorsports cars running very similar areas in the track there in 5th and 6th spot. Again, of course, they do have a lap separating them, so this battle is not for a position. But unless anything were to go crazy, it looks like John will come away with what I believe will be his 3rd top 5 of the season. So great turnaround from Mr. John Guerra as well. He's a guy that I know Devin Crosby missed tonight's race, but Devin does currently hold the final playoff spot in the top 6 that would transfer him into the playoffs for the rest of the season. But, well, if you look at it, I mean, Jean, if he was able to keep up in the points, as I think he would be able to, let me just pull up my points going into this race. But, well, depending on how this were to turn out for him, he could close that gap to Devin even further. And we could see Jean Guerra perhaps take that final transfer spot into the playoffs at the end of the season, and he could make a push towards maybe fighting for a championship. Actually, Manuel Guerra, important to note, but which Guerra was that? We're on board with the Jean, so that was Manuel that just went around. Right as I start talking about the battle between both Guerras and the points, the two Diabolique Motorsports cars, that's Manuel. Oh, that is way too fast. Sorry about that. But coming up into corner one, sorry I missed out on that looking at a different screen, but Manuel with the hard push on the slipstream there, chucks it in way deep on the inside, locks it up so hard he spins to the left. So Manuel making a big move there on Jean Guerra, his teammate. I love it. That's the kind of racing action you want to see in a race like this, especially with, I'm not sure if they know it, but as big of a points implication as it would have. Looking back in the field a little bit, I'm not sure if Logan maybe made a slip up somewhere, but Andrew made up about a full second since the last time I checked the timing tower, and it dropped back that time. So not sure what happened there, but now Andrew is now under attack from Michael Krobach from behind, who made up a little bit of time in that lap. I was focused on the battle between John and Manuel. But quickly, just to finish up that last thought, looking at the point standings, both John and Manuel are tied at 86 points in a tie for 7th place in the series. Remember, the top 6 drivers all transfer into the playoffs at the end of round 12 of the season, which granted is pretty far away, but again, it's still important to look in advance and see what guys have to do towards the end of the year if they want to make the playoffs. But yeah, looking at it, they're both tied with 86 points, and with Devin Crosby out of this race, both of them are going to pass for that 6th spot, but the question is whichever finishes higher would currently maintain that transfer spot into the playoffs. And well, the playoffs kind of the way they're set up means that really anybody could win the championship in the series, provided they're able to have a great end of the season and make those 13th, 14th, and 15th races count. Of course, the 15th race being chosen by the All-Star winner on Monday, so that does increase the stakes of that prize as well, especially considering that it's one of only 3 races to be included in the playoffs. So, well, we maintain as we finish up that thought with Andrew Bergersen, who, well, since I brought it up, seems to have kind of kicked it into gear a little bit, starting to pull away from Michael Krobach once again. That gap back up to about 1.2 seconds, but, well, you saw that last time they came through here. Michael was in a very similar spot, so, again, Michael seeming to find more and more pace as the stint goes on, and he's starting to catch up to Mr. Andrew Bergersen there in the 22 car, and again, they are technically teammates there at Untitled Motorsports, both kind of the same affiliate there, is not technically the same team on the team standings side, but speaking of the team standings, it looks like the most successful team tonight, based on current position, would probably be Diabolique Motorsports there in 5th and 6th. Not to discount, of course, 3rd and 8th, which is occupied by Lad Pedal Blue of course, Michael Krobach and Rich Foligno. But interestingly enough, the top 5 tonight's race, all different teams. So, well, the team standings are important this season, but it looks like there won't be too much change in those standings tonight, at least not as far as it is considered between maybe the top 3. Logan Pax is the only Logan Motorsports driver to show up because Logan Ferguson is not in tonight's race, but Logan is indeed winning the race, so you got to think the points that would come out of that would be, well, definitely enough to share between 2 drivers that are trying to maintain their stranglehold on 2nd place in the points. And I think, depending on where Michael, I guess Rich is guaranteed a 9th place spot. He did drop out of the race a little earlier, and by the sounds of it, internet troubles of his own as well. Actually, not quite sure if I can confirm that yet, but it does appear he is out as well. So with that, it means that Michael is probably not going to be able to make up any ground to Logan, Logan's not going to be able to make up much ground to Michael in the points championships, as it refers to their 2 teams. So really the best advantage I can see coming out of this race in terms of the team point standings is the 2 Diabolique Motorsports cars there, currently on board with Jean Guerra there in the number 11 car, sitting in the 5th spot, who again is having a great race as he has of late, and Manuel Guerra, who's actually moved up 3 positions that very last time he came out to race here at that was Spa-Francorchamps that he gained all those positions. I believe he finished 4th in that race. So both the Guerra cars there in the Diabolique Motorsports team, both brothers are getting better and better with each passing race, and I know it's been something remarked about by other drivers as well in off-track things. So definitely a contender there in the team points championships, and even in the individual one as well, because again, one of those drivers will take the transfer spot, at least for the time being, into the playoffs until Devin Crosby is able to come back and try to continue the fight for that spot, as well as Justin Lewick as well is still in the conversation for that spot. Of course, he's missed 2 races this season, which is the main reason he's not included in that battle, but with a 4th place spot right now, Justin is by no means counted out of that place, or that 6th place battle either. So really the championship is going to be a lot more interesting after this race once these kind of the 4th to 6th place position areas are solved, and we'll have a better idea of exactly who is where as it pertains to the championship positioning going into our final 4 races coming into the playoffs, that being 9, 10, 11, and 12. But back to the race after that little spiel there, and since that spiel began, Andrew Bedrosian has been flying away from Michael Krobach behind him, now almost 4 seconds ahead has the gap been extended between the two drivers. We're going to throw up the lap time graphic here just to compare the last couple laps between the two. So you see on lap 49, Michael gained almost 6/10 there with a little bit of an off lap there from Andrew, running a 1:16.783 that time. So Michael did get some time up there on presumably an Andrew mistake of sorts, but well, since then it's been the all Andrew show, getting about on an average about a full second ahead of Michael each and every lap, and we'll see when they come across this time exactly how big that gap did get extended. But well, as Logan came across the line this time, it is now a six lap dash to the finish if Andrew wants any hope of winning this thing and preventing Logan from his 4th win of the season. Again, he's getting pretty close, but well, we'll go on board with Logan and we'll check in and see how their laps compare between him and Andrew Bedrosian. But, well, honestly, Andrew made up about 5/10 that 51st lap. He had a great lap there. I don't know if you saw his time, but ran in the 1:14s, which is actually bordering on Logan's qualifying time. So something to keep in mind for sure that he was quicker that time. Got to wonder exactly what did happen to him on that lap. But well, after that, he was about a 10th slower was Bedrosian to Paxa, and then about a ½ second slower that last lap by. So, well, he's starting to let that gap slip away once again, but really not quite as quickly as I'm sure Bedrosian would like if that Paxa would like if he wants any hope of this win being, well, I guess you could say pretty simple or pretty uneventful, which I guess wins in this series never really are they? But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that timing tower spot for you. And besides that, it looks like for the most part, the position battles in this race are pretty much decided. So now it's a case of can Andrew catch up and get his 1st win of the season, or is Logan indeed going to come away with his 4th win of the season, and I believe his 10th overall in our series. Or sorry, actually it'd be his 12th, I should say. Won 8 last year, and it would be 4 this year. Wait, no, he won 6 last year. This would be his 10th win in the series, so kind of got a little bit of a milestone coming up here if he's able to have such a great race as it appears he might. Let's check out elsewhere. Sorry, in the chat. Michael is the king of pit strategy, David. It certainly does appear that he does do his homework when it comes to going into these races. Marshall Crocker Sr. there you see on the outside, but Logan Pax is able to slip by without incident. Actually, Andrew Bedrosian hopefully is able to get out of the way here and is able to avoid incident, but he is actually still continuing to make up time, and both John and Marshall do a masterful job of giving him the space he needs to get by without incident, allowing him to continue that push up towards Logan. Again, only 5 laps to go this time by, but that gap has dropped a little bit that last lap, and it's starting to extend again as we come through this individual section. But I find the timing does often give credit to the driver in front as they head through this section. So once they get onto the backstretch, we'll have a better idea when they cross the line of how much that gap has shrunken. But otherwise, the racers elsewhere, all the drivers have to drink milk. I was honestly considering making milk an official thing if I were to win the All-Star race on Monday, because I infamously hate milk. Those of you that know me, I just do not drink it. It is a thing I think children should drink and then never again. But, well, honestly, if I were to win the All-Star race on Monday, maybe I would throw in at the end a live shot of me trying to drink milk as a result of winning it. But, well, that's something we'll consider if and when I were to win the All-Star race on Monday, which is always the hope. But, well, tonight, yes, Keith, I agree, that would make the festivities way cooler. But, well, I guess the very best we can do is maybe ask the race winner to do it in the interview, and not much better. Again, I don't know if the Indy GP, they don't do milk in the real-life IndyCar race, so I guess maybe we can set a precedent here in the Karts to Computers Racing Series and make a ruling of our own in case we ever come back to a race like this one. But elsewhere in the chat, David asked a little while ago, does John get the lucky dog? Yes, he did. I believe, or at least he should have at the start of that last stint, but I think when he came into the pits, that did disqualify his eligibility from still getting that position. You see, actually, John on the inside there being passed by Logan Paxa, so he will now go 2 laps down. But yeah, I think he did come into the pits there under the caution, meaning that the lucky dog was voided, as you see Logan coming in across this time to begin lap 57 with only 4 to go. But yeah, part of the lucky dog stipulation is that if you do come in and pit underneath it, I don't believe you do get that lap back. Or maybe it doesn't work like wave rounds. I think it does, but if any of you in the chat are actually NASCAR's, yeah, okay, so I think I'm right. How about a milkshake? Milkshakes aren't much better. I find it's like after you let ice cream sit out for a little while, maybe give like 3 to 5 minutes too long, and then it gets all soggy, and you're like, I don't really want to eat it. That's just how I feel about milkshakes, but actually, I don't know where I'd get a milkshake through the pandemic. I don't know what places are open, but that's not the point. We have 4 laps to go, and the end of this very exciting race, so I should focus on that. We can talk about milkshakes all we want later. But yeah, so elsewhere in the field, again, looks like Andrew's still dropping back a little bit that lap. It looks like he's not making up the ground he would need to in order to make up those final, give or take about 4 seconds in the final 3 laps as we come across this time. Michael Krobach is nowhere to speak of in this battle. I just don't really know what happened. He looks like he should come away with a 3rd place spot unless something horrible were to happen and Justin were to make up all that time as a result of an incident from Michael, but looks like he should pretty comfortably coast to a 3rd place spot tonight. But I'll have to ask him in the interview. It seemed like that pace that he had at the very start of the stint just started to back off a little bit, and he's fallen back way further than I would have expected him to. So, well, you got to wonder. I mean, really, the top 2, maybe they just kicked it into another gear, and Paxa and Bedrosian just kind of got into ultimate focus mode and said, okay, well, now's the chance, if any, to win this whole thing. And, well, Logan looks like he should be the most expectant winner here tonight, or at least as the final 3 laps go, with about a 4-second gap ahead to Andrew. But again, Andrew at Spa seemed to make up a ton of time to Michael in the last couple of laps, and I know Logan's pace was a lot more consistent there at Spa, and it's a little bit faster here at Indy Road Course. But again, the possibility's not done that Logan, in his attempt to pull away from Bedrosian, might make a small mistake that does allow Andrew to catch up and give us a battle to the line here at the end of this race. But again, I'm a very optimistic guy, so the possibility is there that Logan's going to kind of put the cruise control on and come to the end of this thing with a pretty quiet win. But again, the last thing you want to hope for is a quiet win in this series. You want to get guys to earn them if they do. And, well, again, I don't mean to bring it up too many times, but, you know, Monday night, the All-Star race, I'm not going to give anybody the easy win here. It may be my series on paper, and of course, I can't cash in the victory prize as we see Logan come across the line this time for 2 to go. But I can't cash in the victory prize because I don't want to decide the All-Star race, the season finale location and car, because I decided 14 race track and cars. So I'd like to give it to somebody else, hence the prize for the All-Star race. But yeah, I'm not going to make it easy on anybody. I'm just going to give you the hint for that. So if you're looking forward to the race like last year's All-Star, sorry, I shouldn't say last season's All-Star race, where I was a pretty conservative guy and kind of wanted to stay out of the way, if I'm honest, I'm looking to win this the All-Star race on Monday when we go to Indianapolis in the IR18. So those of you looking to get a pretty fun onboard view in a kind of a live stream broadcast format with somebody a little bit more aggressive than usual as you'd see in oval racing, well, feel free to tune into the broadcast. I look very forward to seeing all of you out there, and I'll try to interact with the chat as much as I can, but of course driving, trying to focus, it means the only real times I'll get to talk about the chat will be under caution, which I would imagine we'll have quite a few of, if I'm honest. But as we come back to your race leader, Logan, as you can see on the track map, coming onto the banking for the final time. Andrew made up a little bit of time, about a half second there on lap number 59, but well, Logan will take the white flag this time by, and Andrews has to have the lap of his life if he wants any chance to take the win away from Logan Paxa this time by. There he goes. He's crossed the line this time. White flag for Logan Paxa. Number lap 60 is beginning. Number lap... What did I say? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's, again, a pretty tired week. But Logan coming through the first and second corner, the little chicane there for the final time. Again, he's just got to keep it clean one more lap, and he will tie Michael for most race wins this season. Both of our 2 top drivers would have 4 apiece, that being Paxa and Krobach. And again, Bedrosian would come away with what I think would be his 6th or 7th second place of the season. So Bedrosian would close in his gap to Michael Krobach in the points, but Logan would extend his a little bit further. But man, just what a picturesque drive from Logan once again. I mean, the chaos, the early race at the start of the first stage, where there was the possibility that he could come out of this first stage a lap down if Andrew were able to pass him on fuel strategy, and no doubt we'll have to talk about that and see exactly what did happen there. But well, we recovered from the adversity, managed to make it work in the second stage, got all the way back up to the first spot, made the pass he needed to on Michael Krobach, and now he comes onto the banking for the final time at Indy Road Course. Now only 2 corners away, the 2 oval corners that he needs to make, and if he is able to do that, he has won this race. He extended the gap to Andrew on this gap just for good measure, on this lap just for good measure, but coming around the final corner, Logan Paxa, for the 4th time this season and the 2nd time in an oval, checkered flag, Logan Paxa is your race winner at round 8 at the Indianapolis Road Course, and will extend his points lead even further. Gonna head off to the inside. Congratulations to Logan Paxa, and hopefully that was a pretty good race there for all the Logan Paxa fans in the chat, as I am aware there are plenty. Perfectly placed donut, actually, right, just narrowly avoiding the inside wall. But we're going to quickly head elsewhere on the track as we see Michael Krobach in the top 3, finishing up the rest of his race. Justin Luke's a little ways back, so Michael should be able to handily take that 3rd place position. Andrew just a moment ago did take 2nd, but Michael will cross the line and take the 3rd spot in tonight's race for, I believe, what is the 7th time in 8 races that these top 3 drivers of Paxa, Bedrosian, and Krobach have taken the top 3 spots. So Michael will just instantly pull to a stop and head off the track. Justin Luke is the final driver on the lead lap to come across the line this race. As we see elsewhere on the track, Jean Guerre will cement his 5th place position in tonight's race, getting his 3rd top 5 of the season. And Manuel Guerre will come away with a very respectable 6th place spot. Now Justin Luke has crossed the line, so he will come across in the 4th position. But we can now head back to your race leader, Logan Paxa, who, your race winner, I should say, who is now doing a celebratory victory lap around the rest of the stadium. I don't know what this camera angle is. I know we mentioned somewhere else that thank goodness we can avoid the trees, but clearly not. It doesn't matter where we go. The trees are... Look at these... What camera is this? Who set this up? I want names that I... Oh, he's... Oh, wait. Okay. Well, he's doing the oval. There we go. That makes more sense. I mean, I'm still kind of unsure as to why they would put a camera there in the first place, but... Well, as he's finishing up his final lap there of the... Oh my goodness. Oh my... We have seen some Logan Paxa celebrations in the past. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but... Well, that's got to be one of the more entertaining ways he's ended a race. Let's just get a quick replay of that. Probably the gnarliest crash we've seen all season, and it happened after a race. Look at this. Oh, okay, that was not the speed it happened at, ladies and gentlemen. Just to clarify, if it were, we would have questions about the legitimacy of Logan's win here if his car could truly go that fast. But you see actually Andrew Bedrosian there in the 2nd place spot, wondering if they were setting something up there and if that was just a mistake. But well, that was one of the cooler and accidental celebrations I think I've ever seen, if indeed it was. So, well, he did pull to a stop, and with that, the end of tonight's broadcast is at hand. Sure, not tonight's broadcast, tonight's race itself. We got plenty to do. We got race interviews, but first, we have tonight's race results. I got to pull everything off screen. Marshall, are you new to this? I guess so. And there we go. Tonight's... Oh, hello, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. The back end of his car. Oh. There's a lot going on in the post-race to tonight's race. Andrew once again doing 2nd place celebration. Tube chat, can you hear me? And, we're back in the green. Okay. Yeah, we're all good. Sorry about that. I cannot keep this LAN cable in my PC. And it dropped again. Okay. There we go. Coming back, and we're good. Okay, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Exact same issue as earlier, but now we're good to go. Well, your final race results, as I was saying just a moment ago, Logan Paxa, for the, I believe every single time he's won a race this season, he has done so after being the pole sitter in said race, except maybe the possibility of earlier this season when he won at Charlotte. I believe Michael was the pole sitter for that race, but, well, regardless, Logan did come away with the win, and after a great early stage where he did win, quote unquote, the first stage, pit strategy later in the race meant, or sorry, he didn't win the first stage. He almost came off the lead lap on the first stage, I should say. He narrowly avoided going a lap down, as Andrew almost did make the pass on him and take the lead lap position that probably would have put Logan out of hope for the win at all, but he fought through the adversity on cold tires, was able to hold off Andrew for that spot at the end of the first stage, came back, led after the 2nd stage, but unfortunately meant that as a result of a pit stop, Michael was able to start in first at the end of at the beginning of the final stage, and after that it was only one pass to the lead, and Logan did win the entire race here tonight, so congratulations to Logan, 4th of the season. But after him, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian, a very respectable performance once again. Again, it feels like every single race we're seeing that Logan wins. He does so by such a narrow margin. And, well, this week it was Andrew Bedrosian just narrowly missing out on that 1st place spot, only by 4.2 seconds tonight. So, in a field with several drivers sitting much further back than that, it's a very impressive finish for sure to finish within 5 seconds of him for the lead. In the 3rd place spot tonight, only 34 seconds back, is Michael Krobach, who I think the closest of the drivers not in the top 2 for a win tonight, but towards the end he just seemed to kind of fall off the pace a little bit. Not sure if it was because of a specific reason or what, but 34 seconds is quite the gap there considering just how close he was in the middle of the race in the 2nd stage. But he does come across with the 3rd place spot tonight, and again, I believe it is the 7th time this season that this exact top 3 drivers has finished on the podium. But in the 4th spot, Justin Luke sitting 55 seconds back, just barely was able to stay on the lead lap there. But, well, he positioned himself perfectly at the beginning of that final stage, and I know he didn't quite have the pace to keep up with the guys in front of him, but after an early incident earlier in the race, the way he was able to recover there was pretty impressive. So, well, you can't complain with the 4th place spot at all. After that, Jean Guerre running out the top 5 with his 3rd top 5 of the season, coming away just narrowly, only 2 laps down there, which, again, in a race as difficult as this one did seem to be, with as much difficulty as guys were having in the beginning of the infield. Well, it can't be blamed to finish 2 laps down and still get to fifth in tonight's race because difficult track and very talented guys. Sometimes that'll just happen. But John and Manuel, the two W Motorsports cars, coming away in fifth and sixth spot respectively. Very impressive performances from both those guys tonight. And again, their streak of very solid finishes does continue. Got to wonder if this is just leading to a podium for one of them sooner rather than later. And as we do head to what's our next road course? We head to Mid Ohio in a couple of weeks, so got to think the possibility of a very traditional road course in the IndyCar once again could be exactly what they need to get a Diabolique Motorsports car in the top three. But after that, Marshall Crocker Sr. coming across the line in seventh position. Had a little bit of trouble tonight, but overall was able to get across the line and finish the race pretty respectively. So I know again with the chaos that a lot of other drivers had to face, but I always give props to everybody for making it through and still coming away with seventh place points. Which I mean, seventh place you cannot complain with that in the points championship. It'll definitely keep him in a playoff spot going forward. So it will be his duty to keep that spot later in the season. Another guy with a playoff spot as of right now is Rich Foligno, who finishes tonight in eighth place. Dropped out pretty early in the race, I think as a result of possibly technical or internet issues, but on only lap 23, he did exit tonight's race. And Max Preston sitting there at the bottom of this chart in number 9 position, unfortunately didn't start the race, as I believe due to, I can confirm, an internet issues. So he's had a few of those in the last couple of weeks, and hopefully as we come into the All-Star race, he'll be able to have a full... And okay, and we pretty well be good. So the broadcast has come back again. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but we did just round out our race results. So with that, we can now bring you your third place interview in tonight's race, Mr. Michael Krobach. Just let me bring him in the booth and get everything all set up. And with that, we are all ready for tonight's third place interview with Mr. Michael Krobach. Let me just pull him in the booth. Hey, Michael, it's Marshall. Can you hear me? Oh, I am doing pretty well, but I do just need to fix one thing before the interview. The same issue I've had a couple of times now. Sorry, just want to try that one more time.
Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Michael. Well, I am doing pretty well, and I was very excited to get back to tonight's racing action after the very brief mid-season break we had here for tonight's race. But, well, in regards to the race itself, you got to be pretty happy coming away with a third place spot tonight. I know the top two there of both Logan and Andrew were they were in a class of their own late in the race, and they seemed to have a great pace. But, well, overall, you were definitely keeping up at the very beginning, and I think it was pit strategy specifically that coming to the end of the race put you ahead. You were starting that kind of final stage there, and in the first spot, you just want to talk about your prep for tonight's race and what you were expecting going in, and then how your pit strategy was able to help you towards the end.
Yeah, Logan had me covered 100%, and Andy did too. I didn't think I had anything for them. Logan was about a second a lap faster than me at the end, so it was all about just kind of maximizing as many points as I could get tonight, keeping the car clean and in one piece. And I think we did that. I think going into the race, I felt confident I could get a third. That's what we came away with. I didn't think I had anything more than that. And just wanted to keep the car on the track. Got the 0x bonus, got 1 lap lead bonus, and just kind of worked the strategy that way. I was going to do the opposite of whatever Logan did, come into the final competition caution, and he stayed out, and I was close enough that I could pit and not lose a lap, so I did that to cycle through ahead on that final caution, get that bonus point, and try to half hold him off for a lap or two until he blew by me, and just kept it on the road after that.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, you did call that third place spot, and it looked like tonight that you did have the potential for more. I know a little bit of chaos early in the race that Logan was almost put a lap down at the very start of the first stint. So if that had been the case, the race would have turned out very differently. But referring specifically to the track itself, how easy was it to stay running consistently and running laps that wouldn't put you in danger of having an incident? Because we saw several drivers throughout the race, especially at the beginning on cold tires, that struggled throughout the infield section. So do you just want to kind of talk about the track a little bit? What are the difficulties of running here at the Indy Road Course?
Yeah, I struggle with the Indy Road Course on kind of old pavement and stuff. The tires don't seem to have a lot of grip, even when they warm up, and it almost felt like you're on ice the whole time. So it was all about kind of just driving slow to go fast, hitting your marks, backing up corner entry through most corners. I studied Logan's laps in practice there, and just kind of saw what he was doing, minimizing first gear through most of the corners. You needed to take it in the final corner before the back straightaway, and so I learned some braking points there. I think we gained a little bit of speed, probably overperformed compared to where I was going into the race. I think we were all fourth, fifth, and sixth would have been pretty close if Max didn't have internet issues. And like you said, that caution and the green flag pit stop with Logan there, that was a game changer. If he So he got an unsafe pit entry for not using the access road, and Andy almost kept him a lap down. And if he kept him a lap down, that might have shaken things up. I think the lucky dog might have worked a couple times. He could have gotten the lap back, but that would have changed the race. So he had to pull it out to go get that lap back, and he did, and he kind of dominated after that. And wanted to see Andy win. It'll come. I know he's getting faster and faster. A road course win's going to come. We got Mid Ohio coming up soon, so I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that. And yeah, just try to keep the car in one piece.
Well, I mean, yeah, speaking of the end of the race there, I mean, Andrew, again, you said he was very close. He most certainly was. And, well, I mean, you came away with, as you, again, you predicted a third place spot, and you really can't complain with that with a race as difficult as this one was. And especially coming out of that kind of mid season break, I know a lot of guys would kind of fall out of touch with the series, but you were able to get the focus back and come away with a very good spot. But coming into the All Star race on Monday, as we can officially guarantee it, it will fall on a Monday, which is unusual for our series. But just because of scheduling stuff, we did have to move it. But speaking of Indianapolis, in the IndyCar, a very traditional format, I'm sure for several races throughout iRacing, and it was the very first race of the series all time. But as we refer to the All Star race with such important stakes as getting to choose the track and car for the final race of the season, what's your confidence like going into an IndyCar oval like that? And just generally, what are your expectations for Monday's All Star race?
I'm looking forward to it. Turning left is my specialty, so I'm glad to be going to the Indy version where we turn left most of the time. If you're turning right, you got a problem there. You don't want to do that on the oval. But we ran good for the season opener last season. I was really conservative that race. I think we could have fought it out for the lead if I'd been a bit more aggressive, and I think I'll do that this time, knowing what's on the line. So I'm really looking forward to it. I kind of have a sense of how people drive the draft in an Indy Oval now, so I know what kind of moves to anticipate. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope we get a good turnout, and I hope one of the LPM drivers win that race. And I have a few track ideas up my sleeve there if we happen to pull out the victory.
Awesome. Well, I look very forward to seeing what those options may be, and I very much look forward to racing you. It's been a little while, so the fact that I'm able to run in it is it's getting me pretty comfy. I'd say generally I'm pretty good at turning left myself, so the hope is it'll be pretty close and trying to get as many guys out there as we can. So looking forward to putting on a good All Star race for the fans, and hopefully if you are able to win it, that you do pick a track that will end the season off on a pretty good note. And you got to think with a playoff spot, I wouldn't say definitely certain, but pretty confident in your future. Well, you got to think being able to choose that last track could definitely play in handy when it comes to you trying to win your first ever championship in our series. So. Well, overall, that kind of wraps it up. And again, no race on Sunday, but we will see you out on Monday for the All Star race. And I mean, again, you predicted it. You said a third place position. Third place position is what you got, and a very solid one overall, and one that, well, if that last stage had played out a little bit differently with the track position you got yourself, it could have been a win there. But as always, as we do, sorry for the little spiel there. But as always, as we do, it is time for your. Do you have any sponsors or people at home you want to shout out here?
Yeah, I got to thank Andy for putting all the setup time in this car. He kind of got the ARB nailed. I think it's a lot more comfortable than it was going into it. So I got to thank him for all the time he's put into it and being a good teammate, and Rich too for coming out tonight. I think Devin had an internet issue, so really sucks for him. I know he wanted to be here, and looking forward to the points battle going forward because me and Logan are now tied on 4 wins, 7 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. So it'll come down to the wire. I think a championship's not guaranteed yet, but we'll fight for it. And I got to thank all the sponsors, of course, HPP Simulation, Clipping That Apex, Thumbs Up Cancer Down, Ready to Frag, Fleximation Systems, Host Venom, Sim Racing Apps, CJ Automotive, Amzo by Adam Blattle, Graphics for painting this paint scheme tonight, and Spotlights for keeping us safe with all the off tracks and stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you running the series, and it's a pleasure to have you making the races as exciting as you always do. And yeah, overall, it's good to see Wide Pedals had some success the last couple of weeks, and you and Andrew are always working together well at the road courses like this. So looking forward to seeing what you guys can put together in a few weeks at Mid Ohio. But well, look forward to even more to racing you on Monday. And actually, I don't know if this is kind of a real world fourth wall break, but I'll actually be back to karting tomorrow, so I may even see you at the track live if you do show up there. But overall, whenever I do see you, it's always a pleasure to have you, and it's always a pleasure to have you in the interview. So congrats on tonight, Michael, and I look forward to talking to you whenever I do next.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks for putting on the series, and nice win, Logan, again.
And with that, we finish up your third place interview in tonight's race. Mr. Michael Krobach, again, always a class interview and one of the best spoken guys in the entire series. Of course, he's definitely a guy I'd say is a huge threat possibility for our All-Star race on Monday at the Indy 250. I guess we're calling it, not the Indy 500, but kind of split in half. But with that, we are having some technical issues on the behalf of Andrew Bedrosian for our second interview tonight. I'm thinking we will maybe do your first place interview right now with Logan Paxa, who I do have in the booth. And then if we're able to get it all figured out after that, then we can go to Andrew Bedrosian for your final interview of the night. But for the time being, let's just see if we have Mr. Logan Paxa in the booth. Logan, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations, man. I mean, you're coming away with your fourth win of the season, tying you with with Michael for most in the championship right now. But getting your second win of the season, I think, at a road course, and what a way to do it. I mean, you had a lot of chaos there at the beginning, a lot of adversity to fight through. I mean, you had the battle with Andrew just to narrowly keep yourself in the lead lap, and even if Lucky Dogs had factored in, that still would have put you behind the eight ball pretty early. So, what was kind of going through your head there as you left the pits? And I heard from Michael that it was likely a pit entry issue, but just kind of walk us through that first stage of the race and how close you came to almost having this win be much harder to achieve.
Right. So, in practice, I didn't practice pit entry at all. Right. So, I knew that there were two ways that I could possibly enter the pits. So there was a escape road on the inside of the bank that could have been the pit entry, and there was also the possibility of you just having to cut down after the banking and go straight into the pits. I guessed wrong, and I got a 40-second stop-go penalty. So I had to stay in my pit box for an additional 40 seconds after my, just like routine fuel and tires. And I knew that the competition caution was coming up. And I noticed that, and like you're saying, I was thinking about the whole, the Lucky Dog thing, and I really could not afford to go a lap down. So I came out of the pits, I think, about 2 seconds ahead of Andrew, and I knew that I had to fight him for it, or else that pretty much would have been my race done and dusted. But yeah, that was really what was going through my mind at that time. I just really needed to stay on the lead lap in order to have a chance to fight for it later on.
And impressively, on cold tires, you were able to make that battle work. You were able to come ahead of Andrew coming into the second stage, and in the second stage, you just kind of got back on typical Logan Paxa pace. You pulled away a little bit there at the end, and I think you had the lead coming into the final stage. I know Michael pitted just before the end of the stage, meaning he did have track position at the start of the third restart. But with Michael and with Michael and Andrew ahead of you. Again, it's kind of a very similar position that you were in with Spa last week, but with like a grand total of I think 16 laps ahead of you. Is your priority always to go for the early move the first chance you get? Was it to be pretty aggressive with them, or did you kind of have confidence in your pace that you thought, okay, well if this goes long term towards the end of the race, you still thought you could make the pass work even if it wasn't when you were all bunched up?
So last couple laps, I always go by I wouldn't call it a saying, but just a mindset where if you have an opportunity, don't let it go. Because for all you know, that's the last opportunity you're going to get for the rest of the race. So I try to make sure that if there's an opportunity to pass, I'll take it immediately. Because I never know if something's going to happen, and that was actually my last opportunity to win.
And you did make a great pass there towards the end of the race, going all the way around the outside, I think, on Michael Krobach. But yeah, just it was a great race there at the end for you. You ran a nice smooth race as you so often do when you win at road courses. But it was a pretty as you kind of alluded to, it was a pretty simple race after that. And once you got the once you got the pass made there, it was kind of smooth sailing to the finish line, coming away with the win. And again, you're fourth of the season now, tying you with Michael, the only two drivers in the series with 4 wins apiece. It'll put you over. You're the first driver, I think, over the 200-point mark in terms of the points championship, and you'll extend your lead to the 2 guys behind you, who actually, as a result of their finishing positions, I think Michael and Andrew will actually close in on each other in that battle for second. But well, as we look forward to Monday, a race with a lot of stakes for our All-Star race there at the Indy kind of 250, kind of the mini Indy 500, one that I'll get to participate in, which as always, it's a pleasure to race against you. But yeah, really just asking, like, what's your plan for maybe maybe I want to ask the track you'd pick if you were to win the All-Star race, but what's your mindset going into a track you had a lot of success at last year, and just what are you expecting for our All-Star race on Monday?
I think it's gonna play out a lot like it did last time around, in season 1. Obviously, at Indy, it's always very close because it's a flat track, right? Draft is everything. I assume that I'll do okay, just because you have to have a certain mindset when you're always close to somebody. So usually, for example, in karting, right? Usually, it's very hard to pull away from people that are equal to your pace. So at that point, you stop thinking about, trying to like push really hard and go really fast, because you know that no matter what, you won't be able to get a good enough gap, right? So at that point, you just think about just like what you're going to do in the final laps. You think about pit strategy. You think about all these little things that you would usually push away from your mind and just focus on what you're doing when you drive. But I think that I'm going to be able to focus on, racecraft, defending, and all that kind of stuff a lot more than I usually would at perhaps a road course, right? So, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it's going to work out for the All-Star race. I know the people will be more aggressive, right? Because like this is the one you want to win, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm just definitely very interested.
Awesome. And I mean, you just mentioned the defending skills again. I'm looking very forward to maybe getting redemption for the All-Star race last season, where I think we had a little battle there middle of the race, but I wasn't able to capitalize there. So I look forward to maybe putting up a second chance there. I know we've had some good races in the past, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm always looking for a chance to join in the series. But well, you're coming in there with some momentum, winning at winning at the GP version of the Indianapolis race, and now you're coming into the Oval. Hopefully the speed you had tonight carries over, and you'll be a worthy opponent for anybody trying to win that thing. And I mean, again, I didn't ask Michael, so I won't ask you, but I'm sure the mystery of what you'd pick to end off the season is it'll I'd imagine definitely very much factor in your plans for the playoffs. And well, the better track and the one you're more familiar you pick, well, the better chance you'll have to win the championship and come away with your second of the series and second in a row. But well, overall, that's enough of my ranting. I will throw it to you and give you a chance to maybe give a shout out to anybody at home.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Marshall, for putting this together, man. Honestly, it's great fun, right? And even with karting, I still enjoy this a lot. And I'd again like to thank my parents and my whole family for watching Prime Power Team, like Canadian Mini Indy. And it's honestly just been great to get back out on a real track. Like the first round fellows is coming up again, and I really never thought that it would happen this year. I thought it was, I didn't think I was going to get on track this year. They made that possible, with all their precautions and stuff. So yeah, I'm just really glad that they were able to do that, and I'm really glad that you made this series so that at the times where I didn't have real racing, that I could still hone my skills on something and enjoy this. Right, so I'm just really thankful for that, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear it. And again, the fact that it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, because the fact that I was able to get the series and give you something to practice with, and you were able to give us a worthy opponent for anybody, and a worthy former champion, and now a worthy points leader. So it's really good to see. It's good to see that you're enjoying the series. And again, I keep seeing that you're having some success in real life with your return to karting. So hopefully the Ron Fellows goes well. And again, I'm also very happy that you were able to get it running this season. Overall, I wish you the best of luck in your real life karting endeavors, and I wish you the best of luck at the All-Star race on Monday.
Thank you, man.
And with that, we finish up your second and possibly not final interview of the night. I previously mentioned that we may not be able to get an interview going with Andrew Bedrosian, but he is unable to hear me in the booth apparently. So I guess we're trying some sort of makeshift interview format. So hopefully that goes well. But we'll pull him in. We'll see what we can do, and hopefully we can get an interview with your second place finisher tonight, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. Hey, Andrew. It's Marshall. I don't know if you can hear me. I think you're going to try to respond through the YouTube side of things, but well, there is a delay. But first of all, congratulations on your second place spot. I believe it's the 6th or 7th time of the season that you have finished in the second place. But overall, it's been a great season so far, and a great race tonight. Do you just kind of want to walk us through that very first stage of the race there? The battle between you and Logan Pax, very heated, almost putting Logan a lap down at the start, which definitely would have changed the course of the race.
Yeah, there's a delay, so I'm still trying to hear the questions from the broadcast.
But yeah, sorry, just to finish that off, just yeah. So what was kind of going through your head there, and how hard were you fighting Logan there to put him a lap down at the start? And overall, just what was your kind of pit strategy there at the beginning that allowed you to be in that position there with Logan at the start?
But yeah, so for like that first stage of the race, it definitely was difficult to figure out Pax's sort of I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, sort of like groove where he's going. That was sort of like the test type stage for me, just to see where he was actually gonna be and where I was gaining and losing time. Like, I think he entered the pits wrong, so that put a penalty on him. So I almost got him a lap down. He just got right in front of me at barely the right time before the stage ended, and he probably would have gotten the lucky dog, so he still would have been on the lead lap at the very end. But yeah, like, we did get tangled up very, very little, but we definitely kept it clean for the whole race, so I'm very happy about that. So it was pretty much just trying to stay out of trouble for this whole race. Difficult, but we managed it.
Yeah, difficult was kind of the name of the game with the entire race tonight. It's a tricky track for sure, and particularly the beginning and end of the infield section there with a lot of kind of low pace corners that are very easy to spin the tires on. But I know coming in that difficulty didn't seem quite as apparent. It sounded like you were pretty confident with your experience here at the Indy Road Course. Just going to talk about your preparation coming into tonight, your experience you have here, and what it was that just allowed you to be as quick as you were and narrowly avoid the win there with Logan at the very end.
So the biggest thing that definitely helped me keep up with Logan at the end was basically just I've been practicing for 2 weeks on this track. I knew it was a hard track for me. I worked on it. I actually made the mistake of not pitting. I think it was uh, at the 20 the lap 20 competition caution, and I ended up having to make a green flag pit stop, and that just basically gave me a bit of a faster pit in pit out at the lap 40 competition caution, just trying to stay ahead of Logan so I didn't go a lap down. But yeah, like Michael helping me out, just telling me exactly where they were on the track, so I knew how fast my pace was and if I was lacking any pace. I got the positions back pretty fast, so it wasn't that much worry. So, but yeah, like, I had a fast car tonight. I had a great setup, so I definitely avoided over rotating my car, so that was a big bonus. That was the main goal, to not over rotate my car like some of the other drivers were doing. So I'm pretty happy with my car tonight, and I'm pretty much looking forward to going and racing at the All Star race on Monday.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear you're as excited as I am for it. And again, as you mentioned, trying to avoid over rotating and making mistakes, it paid off. You came away with the of your second sixth place of the season. You just captain consistency. We gave that title to another driver last year, but you're kind of proven to be that guy this season. I think you've only not finished on the podium one time, so you've had a great season for yourself. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see when you head out to the All Star race if that is able to carry over that consistency you have there. But I know a lot of guys are going to be particularly feisty to try to get the win there because, of course, the prize being getting to pick the track and car for the final race of the season. It's a lot to play for. So hopefully that does indeed happen to result in a great race for all the fans out there. But well, as it pertains to the end of your interview specifically, this is the time we always do sponsorship, and if you want to give a shout out to anybody in the crowd, I know you have a few new sponsors tonight, and you did have some support in the YouTube chat. So yeah, feel free to take that time for yourself.
Yeah, I do want to thank the Bedford School. They've been such a great sponsor. They are my most recent sponsor. Um, they're and just I love being their driver, so I'm happy they were had confidence in me to just hop on. And I want to thank Buckland Billiards for the sponsorship and Stamos Realtors.
Awesome. Well, as always, thank you for coming out, Andrew. And just the same way I said to Michael, for making these races as exciting as you have. Really, overall, the three of you there leading the championship fight between you, Logan, and Michael. It's made for some great racing this season, some great battles, and overall, I look forward to seeing if that carries over to, I believe, my first chance to get to race on Monday at the All Star race. But overall, as we head into said All Star race, I hope you have a great weekend, and yeah, I will see you Monday. Well, I think we had a brief internet dropout there, but we're back. So, unfortunately, weren't quite able to hear the end of Andrew there, but a bit of a delay. So, I just wanted to get it all set up. But yeah, so you will see both myself and Andrew at the All Star race on Monday night, as well as all the drivers I would expect that you did see in tonight's race, as well as perhaps a few more from last season, kind of making their return in a one off. And again, you're going to have hopefully the biggest field we possibly can because, nobody passes up an iRacing race at Indianapolis in the IndyCar. It's just kind of one of the staples that is definitely the most fun to run, especially at a race as long as we're running it. But well, overall, thank you again, everybody, for watching. As I always say, I mean, it's a pleasure to host these races, provided there are people out there to watch them. And we have just dropped off again, so uh, hopefully this isn't falling on deaf ears. But I know eventually YouTube does catch up and get all the stuff in the broadcast. So there we go. So we're all back, and I can finish it up in relative peace. So there's your final race results for the festivities tonight in round 8 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2 at the Indianapolis Road Course. And again, your race will be on Monday night, as opposed to the usual Sunday night race that would follow up the Friday race. And again, the All-Star race, for those of you that have never seen last year's, no points, so points do not count. It is purely for the sake of the first place prize, which is, as I mentioned a couple of times now, the ability to pick the car and track for the final race of our series, which is also the way the playoff format works, the finale of the 3-race playoff for the top 6 drivers heading in. So unfortunately, the point standings will not update until we get the bracket or the spreadsheet updated, so I can't show those to you quite yet, but you will see them in the All-Star race, and you'll also see me there. So I look forward to the live stream style setup we'll have going. Of course, I will do my very best to bring all the viewers on YouTube into victory lane, but well, overall, it'll be interesting to see as we head back to an IndyCar Oval for the first time since Charlotte earlier this season, exactly how well that'll go. But overall, thank you everybody for returning to the Karts and Computers Racing Series for round 8 tonight after our few-week break we had there. And overall, we're going to get back into the swing of things with the usual schedule for the next couple of weeks to end off the season. But yeah, overall, thanks you everybody for watching. Hope to see you all out there on Monday, and just have a great weekend, everybody.